Ahoy, mates! Did you enjoy the Ryanair flight countdown there? Nice, wasn't it? Cute, bouncy, uplifting, happy. Just like all of us. Good evening. I am the host of this magnificent show. You will know us as APW. The new people will know us as Bergkamp Wonderland. Both work, both fit. They're both perfectly compatible with us all. I am the pirate, your host, Kris, or Le Christophe if you prefer. And tonight I've got three wonderful gentlemen to talk some Arsenal with. Who'd have thought? First of all, he's got to be here. Danny.
Kris, and might I say how fetching your new shirt looks?
Don't. We're saving that. We're saving that. Don't blow our load all over the screen yet. Let's just
they might get a little glimpse.
Mm-hmm.
How are you?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. I'm old and rickety and whatever. But I'll be 38 in 3 months' time. But I've done
1 month and 1 day. I'll be half a century.
Well,
speak up.
We all know you're ancient and decrepit. It's fine. But have you run 5.85 miles today, Danny? No.
I haven't moved 5.8 miles this year.
You really haven't. Well, luckily enough, I have. So I'm happy, but I'm all good. I'm going to introduce our next guest now. He's fresh off of modelling the Manchester United third strip today. Good evening and welcome, Josh. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. I've realised after you've mentioned that the last podcast I was wearing this exact same T-shirt, so I feel like I might need to diversify my my wardrobe instead of branching out from the Harry Maguire Grease Away range.
Better still, it'd be brilliant if you had like a wardrobe that you just opened up and there was just 15 of the same T-shirt. Like that would be. So maybe that's the way to go. But every time I look at you with that moustache, all I want to do is just go, well, every time. But anyway, that's for the old amongst us. And finally, I've saved the best for last. No offense to all the rest of us three, but he's coming to us live. Rumour has it that he's currently negotiating contracts for new players. Yes, indeed. He's coming all the way from abroad. I'm not actually going to disclose where. If you want to know where, I'm sure you can find it on his timeline. But he's on his Holly Bobs for about the 8th time this month. It's only Geoff Arsenal. All right, Geoff?
Christopher, how the devil are you, sir?
I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. It feels like forever. How is foreign climes right now?
Yeah, beautiful. I'm got for the next hour and a half. I'm going to be the international correspondent. Yeah, how about that?
Fantastic, love it. Of course, you know that our fan base will not be happy unless you've got at least 4 players joining imminently. So just prepare for that.
We'll see, won't we? We'll see how we get on.
We certainly will. We will be discussing some transfer tittle tattle for all of you bloodthirsty fans out there who want us to talk that. But we're gonna start tonight's pod with a bit of a squad assessment because we play Fulham. Oh, crikey, 3 days' time. Football's back. Who'd have thought? It's nuts, isn't it? Absolutely bonkers. It doesn't feel like we finished last season and we're already into a new season. The good news coming yesterday that the 3 o'clock games are not the only games that will now be broadcast live. All of them are going to be broadcast live, at least until September. Or the end of September when it will be reviewed. So at least you'll be able to watch all the games. BBC are in for a treat. Leicester-Burnley is their game. I'm sure they're itching for that one. It's got 0-0 written all over it. Fantastic stuff. But yes, across, I believe it's Sky, BT, BBC and Amazon, you'll be able to watch every single Premier League game. If you're a psychomaniac like me, you'll be able to watch about 20 games a week. Fantastic. Great times. But we're really only going to be focusing on Fulham Arsenal. So, Danny, this is where I'm going to lean on you slightly. If you wouldn't mind popping across to arsenal.com and grabbing a list of our squad, because we're just going to kind of do a bit of an overview. But I figured for our live listeners that are watching us right now, they can have a little look at what we're looking at. And I want to just go through the individual departments and just assess where we are in terms of our squad. So, Josh, you've got the short stick, but don't worry, I've saved some specials for you. But I'm going to give you the goalkeepers first of all. At the time of recording, we have technically 3 first-team goalkeepers, those being Bernd Leno, Emi Martinez, and Matt Macy, who's sort of very much third choice. And then you've got the youth keepers behind him, or them. What's your feelings on the goalkeeping situation in terms of where it stands, in terms of where it might be if one was to leave, and sort of as we go into the season, who would be your number one and why?
Well, I imagine if we went back, I would say almost since post Lehman, this has been the first season I've gone in and I'm not worried about the goalkeeping situation at all. You look at it and you go, Bert Leno, Martinez, we're trying to work out who's number one, and they're all for positive reasons. This isn't who's our, is it Almunia or trying to think of other, like Wojciech Szczesny when he was just kind of coming through, or Fabianski. These are two high quality goalkeepers that both match the philosophy of our manager, and I would be happy to see either of them start for us at the weekend. So yeah, just the rumours about Martinez leaving again. We're in such a strong position at the moment. They're a bit like if Leno stayed, Martinez went out, I wouldn't necessarily cry. The main thing to look for with Martinez is the fact that because we've had him for so long and from so young, he counts as homegrown for us. Although he's an Argentinian international, a bit like Hector Bellerin, we got him in young and early, and yeah, he counts as one of our development players. So there's a place in the squad for him in that regard. The only thing I'm slightly worried about is how good a second choice goalkeeper is Matt Macey, if one of them comes through. But if we're at the point where we're arguing that, I'd put my resources elsewhere if I were Arsenal. We've got Iliev, I think is probably going to go in terms of fourth choice goalkeeper. I think he'll probably leave. And then it is the Estonian boy who made his debut for the national team over this international break before the season started. Just a very weird sentence to be out with, but it's an exceptional season. So yeah, Kris, as general, I'm not worried about any of our goalkeeping situation. And if you told me Leno was going to start against Fulham or Martinez was going to start against Fulham, I'd go, meh, okay, fine.
I think that's pretty well summed up. I think we're all kind of okay with where we are as it stands, but it is possibly going to change. Geoff, I'm going to come to you probably with each individual segment, because naturally people will want to get your thoughts on what you're hearing or what you're not hearing in terms of ins or outs, because that seems to be quite a regular thing with our squad right now. What do you make of the goalkeeping situation? You were there for all the games that were able to be had, shall we say, last season in terms of live appearances. Emile came in and did a brilliant job at the end of last season, and by all accounts has been an Arsenal man for, well, as long as any other player that I can think of, excluding Bellerin. He's earned his place. Would you stick with him for the start of the season, or would you sort of go back to Leno? And do you think the club is actively trying to move or willing to let one of the two go if the right offer comes in?
Well, what we are going to see is how Mikel handles man management, because he's got a few issues on his hands at the moment, right across the board. The goalkeeping one is definitely one of them. I would personally, Emile hasn't really done anything wrong. He's got in there. He's grabbed his chance. Out of the two goalkeepers at the moment, on what we've seen, I know it's only been about 15 games or something. I think Emile commands the area a little bit stronger. But, Leno has saved us so many times. Like Josh says, it is a very positive. I mean, years that have gone past, we was just talking about who was the most rubbish or who was the shittiest goalkeeper we was going to suffer. We're in a fortunate position at the moment. I don't know what the situation is with regards to what he's going to do, Mikel. It's a tough one. No doubt we'll speak about it later on when we get to the transfer stuff. But I would definitely prefer Emile, because he's done a good job when he's coming, and I think it'd be really, really unfair if he gets dropped. If he does, it's going to be. I think he'll most probably be on Monday morning with the transfer request. So again, there's a lot of issues that Mikel, we're going to find out what type of manager he is. Is he ruthless? If he's ruthless, a little bit. I mean, I tend to think like he did with Saka. He was playing him, then he got him to sign the contract, and then he gave him a rest for a little while. I would, if I was going to be ruthless and be that type of manager, rather than how Arsene used to take it. He was maybe too loyal to players and very, very honest and open and stuff like that. I would leave Emmy in there. I'd get him to sign a new 2-year deal. So we got him on a longer contract. I don't know when it runs out. He's only got 2 years now, hasn't he? I think he's only got maybe 2 years now. Yeah. I think we do need 2 goalkeepers anyway, but I'd get him to extend, give him more money. I think he's only on 25 grand a week at the moment, believe it or not, which is paltry for a top Premier League team. But he's been here such a long while. I would get him to extend, give him a lot more money, maybe 75 grand a week. I think he's worth it. And then we'll keep him, and we're in a better position at the end of the season if we do need to sell him anyway. And we've got 2 good goalkeepers on the firm. And let them fight it out. Leave Emmy in there and say, right, it's yours to lose. Danny?
Yeah.
Did you say my name?
Mm.
Oh, yes. My cat's just come in.
I did indeed. I was handing it over to you, see what your thoughts were.
It's like I've never done it before, Geoff. I'm not really bothered about which one of the 2 starts. I'm more bothered about if we are going to sell one of them. Now, the amount of money you're going to get for a future German international who's going to be skirting around the number 1 position for Germany when Neuer finally retires, which the Germans have a habit of retiring early, like was it Lahm, the left back, retired way too early. The Germans tend to do that because they've had so much success. And if we are going to sell one of our 2 goalkeepers, I want to sell the one we're going to get the most money for. It's an educated guess that Leno is eventually going to go back to Germany because that's where he comes from. That's what we'd all do if we were him. But Martinez has been at Arsenal now for a decade. He's the longest serving player there, and he's only 26, I think he is. He's got another 8 or 9 years left of us if he wanted to. So I'd sell the one that you're going to get the most money for and keep the one who wants to stay the most. So if we sold Leno, we're probably going to get 40 million for him. If we sold Martinez, according to reports, we're going to get 20 million for him. So as for which one starts, I really don't mind. I think that Martinez is much more commanding in his area. He's much more of an old-fashioned kind of goalkeeper. He's not a puncher. I don't like goalkeepers. Like Leno had a habit of punching. Like Almunia had a habit of windmilling and going all over the place. We've been so many seasons with so many rubbish goalkeepers, and now we've got 2 really good goalkeepers. But I think it's more important of the finances rather than which one that we keep, because I think either one of them could play every game for the rest of the season for us, and they'd both be much of a muchness. They're both going to be really, really good.
It's funny, isn't it? We spent so many years moaning about the lack of depth. We finally get depth, and now we're moaning because we've got 2 good goalkeepers. It's like you just
got
can't
too many toys at Christmas.
Yeah, I think I tweeted a while ago, and quite a lot of people agreed. Some people disagree. I know one of our guys, Neil, is very keen on shipping Emmy out, saying we'll never get the sort of money we could get from now. And this sort of idea that if we get rid of one, we've got to bring someone in. It just seems a bit, it's like, it's all right saying we're going to raise some money by selling somebody, but then you've got to spend to bring someone else in. It doesn't really make any sense to me. And I think a lot of people have forgotten how good Bernd Leno was for us. I'm not one of them. Thought he was brilliant for us last season, but I thought Martinez was also brilliant and has earned his place and has worked his balls off. And sometimes in football, it's a harsh game, and sometimes you get injured, the game moves on, and you get left behind. That's just the brutal reality that we haven't had at this club for far too long. So it is what it is. Moving on to defenders now. I'll start with you this time, Geoff. What do you make of our centre-back cluster at the moment? Because we've got an awful lot of centre-backs. I think it's fair to say we're quite blessed in terms of the fullbacks with Tierney, with Bellerin. We've got to consider Ainsley MaitlandNiles as a permanent fixture, at least as we speak, and Cedric as well. So Kolasinac has been linked with moves away. And then you've got the likes of, deep breath, Rob Holding, Gabriel, Socrates, Mustafi, Chambers, David Luiz, Pablo Marie, and William Celiba at centre-back. First question to you really is, how many of those do you think go? And the second question is, do you feel a bit more secure going into this season in terms of our defensive setup? Because that's always been our Achilles heel for recent times.
Oh, you know what? I've got to be a little bit cautious with regard to the new boys that have come in, Gabriel and Celiba. You're the French football expert. You're going to tell me how good and how weak they are, or whatever. But the two boys that have come in, you've got to take into consideration this is the Premier League. New lads that come in. I mean, we've only seen it with Pepe. A lot of people like him, but I mean, I think there's so much more to come, and he's only just starting to bed in now. And I think they are going to need time to bed in. And the Premier League is ferocious, and it's a difficult place to learn on the job, so to speak. And I don't know. I don't think they're going to start too much very early unless we're short of players. So I think he's still gonna go with what we've got at the moment. We do need, at the same time, we do need to shift some players, because we need to free up some money to get a midfield player in. So I would imagine, I don't know. I think Chambers, is he fit now? I think I saw a picture of him training anyway. At least maybe we might get something for him. I just think it's going to be very, very difficult for Arsenal to get rid of him. Socrates, who's going to pay the money for him? He might be a couple of, I don't know, was it £4 or £5 million he might be worth or something? We do need to get some of them centre halves away, but at the same time we've got to be very, very careful, because we are reliant upon the two youngsters to come in, and then maybe it all depends how we're playing it as well. It all depends how he looks at it. Mikel, is he going to play with the 4 or is he going to play with the 3? I do think he's going to start with the 3 for the first few games, but you don't know. I think eventually he's going to want to do a change to 4-3-3 or something like that. I think that's his ideal way of playing in his mind. So if he does that, then it all changes again. Because you've got Mary that's on the sidelines, is ready to come in as well. We have got a lot of centre backs there that are going to want to play. It's a difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. And Josh, in terms of going into the first few games of the season, I think Geoff makes a good point. I think Celiba will be probably the one that is sort of held back a little bit, I'd imagine, just in terms of his age and progression. He's going to need a bit of time to adjust. Gabriel is pretty much ready to go, but again, we'll need to adjust to the physicality. Do you think that may be the reason that's holding up, for example, the Rob Holding deal? There's talk of him going to Newcastle. Do you think Mikel Arteta might be keen to keep him in place until at least the end of the window, where he's a month further down the line, a month further down the road of the development of the two new boys, and probably a bit more of a settled look to the team? Do you think it'll probably be more of a, as Geoff said, a sort of a David Luiz, Tierney and Holding mix-up to start the season?
Well, we've heard that David Luiz is injured as well at the moment. He's got what is it? It's a strain in his neck. Or it's a neck injury, isn't it? I think it's in training. They were asking, David, check where your position is on the pitch. And because he's never done it before, looking around to see where he is, he's pulled a muscle. But so I think it's one of those key things that you're looking now and you're going, Socrates definitely isn't part of our plans. We've seen that, post the return of football, that he just didn't feature at all. I was kind of surprised that, you remember when he scored against Southampton? That's the last time it was that volley from a corner.
Yeah, the FA Cup. Portsmouth.
Yeah, and you think about it and you're like, blimey, that was the last time he kind of played for us. Portsmouth, not Southampton. But
gotta get that right.
Yeah, no, Ross will kill me. I got those two mixed up. They're all on the South Coast, they're all the same clubs. Yeah, in terms of who I see, and I think we might see Celiba earlier than Gabriel. And I think it's purely because of the David Luiz not being available. Because from what I have seen, is Gabriel doesn't speak great English at the moment. And I imagine the Portuguese and French of Rob Holding and Kieran Tierney probably isn't the greatest. So I'm assuming Celiba has been, learning English since his move was confirmed last season as well. It would have made sense that he was taking English lessons. So, and he's been training with us for longer as well.
Yeah, his English is not bad. His basic is not bad.
So yeah, we say we've got Mustafi out injured at the moment, and he's a player I'd keep a hold of for this season. He's looked great under Arteta, and I might get pelters for this. And actually, I don't care if I do. I think he's playing for a new contract as well. I really think that there's potential that we could give him a 2-year deal after this. You know, if it comes to January, February time, and he's still been putting in the same performances, and he will happily play a bit part role for us as he extends into his 30s, then yeah, I'd happily give him a new deal. And you say Callum Chambers is probably about a month away till we see him fully fit. Pablo Mari again is also out injured at the moment, or coming back from an injury. So I think that's where we've put the brakes on with letting Rob Holding go at the moment. We've got till the 8th of October to make that decision. And I think we can use that, or 6th of October, we can use that time, basically 28 days or so, to assess Callum Chambers coming back, assess Mari coming back, Luiz can come back as well, and we can have a bit more of a clear out. There's also another month of Gabriel getting settled. So I think we might see a bit of a strange lineup for Fulham. I think it still might be the 3 at the back system until maybe another couple of weeks. I think once David Luiz is back and, Celiba and Gabriel are kind of embedded into the side, that we'll then see come January, we'll revert to 4 at the back. I think there is something telling in what we did in the QPR game, the friendly, where we revealed no details at all.
Yeah.
Perhaps we were looking at something tactically on that, maybe a 4 at the back, or who knows. I imagine it will be revealed against Fulham.
Hence, we conceded 3 goals. Probably, it's probably why nothing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with that. And Danny, rather than asking you the same question, what's your thoughts in terms of the fullbacks? Because Hector, the goal protector, has been linked with PSG. From the people I speak to, I'm led to believe that is gone down the road far enough to suggest that Hector's spoken to them. And there hasn't been a formal bid placed, but he's one of a number of targets that PSG are looking at. But they need to move players off their wage bill before they can put the sort of money across that we'd be looking for. And you've got Kieran Tierney, who easily is our best left back, but is probably going to play left centre back until such time as we can move things around. And MaitlandNiles, who obviously wants to play in midfield, but is doing a pretty good job at fullback. So are you happy with where our fullbacks are at the moment in terms of depth? Cedric as well, of course, is back up to Bellerin.
That's too many questions at once. Give me them one at a time. I'm nearly 50. You got to be gentle. First of all, Geoff. What's his name? I'm going to make sure that Luka Kolakusic is in Croatia, and he says, "Where are you?" If you can say,
wave.
Geoff?
No, I think I'll leave that. Hey, for now.
Oh.
Yeah, I think I'll leave that for now, Dano.
Okay, top secret. Geoff is R007 here. You never know he's going to be there. I think we should say hello, Kris, to all the wonderful people that, like us, know that Twitch is in fact the future. You've got Alex P1956. You've got our mate, our very own Nick Fights is in there. Jackosaurus, who is from Ireland, I think.
I watched his stream the other day, actually. He was playing Fall Guys. I was having a chat with him.
I saw that Twitch Ireland tweeted, go and follow these Irish Twitchers, and he was one of them.
He was.
Who else is in there? There's AFC Freddy. I don't know who he is. He looks like a nonce. Maybe I should ban him.
Yeah.
Yes. So, what was the question? One at a time, and I will answer them.
I'll simplify the question. If we keep the fullbacks we've got, are you happy with the fullback areas with the club in terms of what we've got available right now?
I do vaguely remember you saying something about Bellerin leaving. Bellerin, it was such a great prospect because of his speed. We know that he doesn't have the speed anymore. He's now is the part in his career where he should start learning to defend, which is a little bit weird because you think as a right back, you should have learned to defend years ago. His defending isn't all that great. And we've seen when Cedric has come in, that's what it's like to have an actual proper right back who's doing proper defending. Hold on. I thought I was going to. Oh, there you go. I just gobbled a peach. Oh dear, matron. Yeah, so I'd be quite happy to let Hector go. It's closer to the Paris Fashion Walks area, which is all going to be shut down anyway. But that amount of money, I mean, we always get mugged off, don't we, with players? And if he's going to go there for 40, 50 million quid, yes, all day long. Thank you very much for what you've done for us, Hector. But you are not a proper right back. As much as we love you, as much as you've got a Cockney Spanish accent, I don't like it. You're not good enough to be a defender, and you're one of the weak links for so long when it comes to defending. You can't get out of trouble all the time by having the pace of a whippet. And so if we've got Tierney at left back, who is going to be the greatest left back football has ever seen, and then we got Suarez at right back, then I think that's two places that then we're no longer going to be weak on, because for so many years we've had people like Kolasinac at left back, Bellerin at right back, and then you're spoilt for choices. Which wing do you go and attack down? You can have us down either of those wings. And if we are going to play the formation where you can have Tierney and Saka on one side, and then you're going to have Pepe and Suarez on the other side, how are you going to beat them lot? It's not going to happen, is it? So, yeah, I'll be quite happy if Hector leaves, and I'm really happy with the fullbacks that we got at the moment. I think I answered that.
I think you did. You did well. Yeah.
I'm doing it as well.
I'm not sure I agree with all of it, but I
agree with. Argue with me.
I feel the Bellerin thing. I think a lot of people are throwing him out with the rubbish too early. I think he's. I feel like the only way Hector leaves is if he has indicated that he'd be open to a new challenge. Sometimes a player can just go stale at a club, and I think that's the only thing that maybe would be in Hector's mind, and the challenge and the appeal of PSG may be something that he might fancy. He may well fancy the idea of something fresh. He did mention sort of tongue in cheek the Parisian fashion element, but Hector strikes me as the sort of guy who'd probably quite like to broaden his horizons in terms of a move abroad. And I always thought if he left Arsenal, he probably would go abroad, if not back.
If it's 10 or 20 million, I'd say don't.
Well, that's the thing. I think if you're going to sell him, I think you've got to be looking at 30 plus. And PSG just don't have that money right now, not with FFP regulations and everything as well. So,
Man City.
What with Man City? Did you say?
Yeah, do a Man City and just get a men's boutique in Abu Dhabi, just to go. Oh, we're now sponsoring the laces. Here's 500 million quid. Apparently, and then threaten to take UEFA to court and bankrupt UEFA. I think just get away with it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think that's going to work out for PSG. They've been in enough hot water as it is. I don't think they want to risk it again. But yeah, it's a weird one. I think it will go late. I would rather keep Hector, to be honest. And I think I do just want to put in a bit of defence.
You'd rather keep Hector and not selling for 40 million quid. You'd keep him rather than having that.
No, I think if you get a bit of that much, then that's different. But if we're talking 2025, I kind of agree. I think generally I'd rather keep him. And the only other one I'd like to defend, I do listen to. I don't know if you listen to the Arsenal Vision podcast, but another one of the 460,000 podcasts. Yeah, Elliot and Clive
and Poznan and Tim.
Yeah, they do an excellent show as well, and Elliot is really not a fan of Cedric Suarez, and he doesn't hide it, bless him. But I think he gets a raw deal, and I think Clive made a really good point this week on that show about how sort of the qualities that Cedric brings, and I feel like he's almost been kind of victimized by some of the fans through no fault of his own. It's not his fault that he has an agent who's a bit of a what's it, and everything that he posts suggests to me that he's having a lovely time and is really enjoying being an Arsenal player. And every time I've seen him play for us, I thought he looked really good. So that might be the jolt that Hector needs to get back to his best, knowing that he's got a player like Cedric in behind him pushing him. So that's just my personal take on it. And as for the centre back situation, the sooner we can get Kieran Tierney out to that left back position, the better, because that's where he should be playing. And then hopefully we can move AMN either further forward or across the other side, depending on what situation arises with him, which leads us nicely onto the midfield area. I'm going to go back to Josh first of all on this one. Fair to say, Josh, this is an area that is a talking point right now. As it stands, and I count these players as midfielders because they are midfielders. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll keep the wingers and forwards separate. But if you look at midfielders, you're looking at Saka, Ceballos, who's come back on loan, Some German geezer, never heard of him. He must be a prospect. Mohamed El Nene, Ainsley Maitland-Niles again, if we're calling him a midfielder. Lucas Torreira, Granit Xhaka, Matteo Guendouzi, Joe Willock, and Emile Smith-Rowe. At least that's what the official website lists as midfield. Where do you stand on this one, Josh? I mean, we're all waiting for the signing, aren't we? We all feel like there's something missing there. So what would you do with that midfield? What's your feelings on where it is right now?
Yeah, I mean, the only player we've really had that's any different from last season is El Neni coming back to the fray. I think he's a player, to be honest, that kind of I'd keep him around for a season, I'd say, or so, just in terms of cover, and he matches what Arteta's looking for in midfielders, as you kind of mentioned in that midfield. There's so many players that, you know, our midfield is lacking numbers already, and then the numbers we've currently got aren't good enough for us, or at least don't match the philosophies or don't have the right attitudes. So we know that, you know, with Lucas Torreira is being offered around Italy, presumably as hand luggage, poor little Lucas. So yeah, expect him to be going. And then you've got the Guendouzi situation. Again, PSG have hinted that they'd like to get in on getting Guendouzi, but they might have to do a bit like we have to sell before they can buy anyone. And then, as you say, the mystery of Mesut Ozil, who looks to be sticking around again for another season. And looking at it and looking at the big two names, you know, the two elephants in the room that we won't mention at the moment, I think he does bring balance as a kind of bit party player, a bit like a Juan Mata for like Man United. Doesn't start every game, doesn't play every game, but will come on, do a bit of cameo for us. Or like Bernardo Silva does for Man City. Again, for any fantasy players out there, very irritating that Bernardo Silva, you know, doesn't start every game for City, like I think he probably should, because he's an excellent player. But we might see what happens with Mesut maybe down the line. But yeah, we are missing something from that midfield in the shape of Thomas Partey and Houssem Ouar, as I believe they mentioned. They call him in the West Country. They do, yeah, exactly. Plymouth born and bred, wasn't he?
I can't wait for us to potentially sign him and commentators up and down the line getting his name wrong repeatedly week in, week out, and it infuriating me every single time. I can't wait. It's the same reason that everybody gets Anton Griezmann's name wrong, which also triggers me. But you know, and it is Griezmann, by the way.
Well, it ain't easy being greasy. That's all I can say.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, I think you're right, and I think you make a good point on El Nini. I think he'd be your ideal fodder for midfield. You know, just a guy who can cover the positions and he isn't going to cost you anything, particularly if Torreira goes. Let me slide Geoff in here. Geoff, we're going to talk kind of transfers in a separate section, if you will, but there's quite a lot of talk about ins and outs in that midfield area. Do you think that is the key missing ingredient for Mikel to get right if we are to challenge those top four positions or higher this season?
Well, I just think we're starving for a creative midfield player rather than the whole host of midfield players that we got. We need some creativity in there. Ozil don't look like he's going to get a game this season. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with him? If we could get. If they could just lock horns and work it out somehow where we could get him on the pitch for, I don't know, 20 games, you know, even substitute appearances, because I mean we're all thinking back of the Ozil in his first 18 months. If we can get him onto the pitch and play like he did then, he's most probably the best midfield player at the club. But his last 18 months have not been very good. He's nearly 32 now, 31, 32. So he's the wrong side of 30 maybe. Still fit, he's fit as a fiddle. I think he says he's raring to go. But it's just a shame that we've got such a player like that. We've still got potential to offer us something, and we can't get him on the pitch. again, it's another big thing that we're going to see how Mikel's man management's going to work out. I think Torreira, I think he's more or less out the door as long as we can get a decent fee for him. El Neni, I don't know. I think, what do? You got El Neni, or you could try and keep Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I mean, Maitland-Niles, I know you might put him as a wide player, a right back or whatever, but I think he does want to play in the midfield somewhere. So what do? It's very, very difficult. But you got all those midfield players, and half of them, and they're not really the quality of player that we need. And we, as maybe 10 or 12 players at the club, including a goalkeeper, defenders, and the rest of them, that are up for transfer. Really, we'd most probably take a bid on a lot of them to get a couple of good players in. We're looking for a midfield player. I haven't seen a lot of Thomas Partey, but personally, I don't think he is that type of player that we need. I think we need a proper creative midfield player that can get hold of the ball and give defenders trouble, running straight at them, and give them trouble working out how they're going to, running and passing through the lines. I think we need a bit of creativity. That's what we've been. You look at last season, the back end of last season, if we had a top quality central midfield player in there that was very, very creative, we'd have scored a lot more goals.
People aren't going to like me for saying this, but what this team needs right now is a Samir Nasri at his pump. That type of player who will break their lines. Yes. And I know he didn't leave on the best of terms, and I know he was a bit of a twat, but he was a wonderful player. That is his peak, if you will. The games. Ironically, I remember him playing brilliantly against Fulham. Funnily enough, go on, Geoff.
Sorry, I was going to say, I think the problem is with our midfield, we're in a really weird place that I think where I could see us needing like an out-and-out creative player as well. I think we could also get away with just having an out-and-out holding player. So someone who's a bit more physical than Torreira, just as bustly around the field, but someone who can let, like Ceballos, go higher up the field and have that kind of freedom to play. I think also second season Pepe as well. I'm putting a lot of my eggs in second season Pepe's basket at the moment to say that we should see him be more creative for us, or kind of gain that chemistry with that forward line that we were kind of missing out on. We've also got, I would kind of see Willian playing in central midfield for us. I don't know why, but I see him as being like a number 8 for us instead. And if you said we had a midfield of something like Xhaka, Ceballos and Willian, you'd say a bit too lightweight maybe. And that's where I say that if you had a defensive midfielder in there, you'd be like, okay, we have got enough creativity in the side. We just aren't letting those creative players be as creative as they can be, kind of holding themselves a bit back, a bit like, ironically, Arteta, a season after he joined us, where you were like, sorry, mate, you can't kind of have you playing almost a luxury midfielder. You're going to have to come back and build from deep. And we've got these players who can play from further up the field that are just doing it as deep line playmakers. Okay, Granit Xhaka, that is his position, a deep line playmaker. But Ceballos, Joe Willock, some of the things we've seen from him, I think he needs someone. Yeah, he needs time, and he needs someone he can learn off as well. But I think that's where we've kind of got this problem. Sorry, Geoff.
What about? Sorry, mate. I beg your pardon. I thought you was finished. What about giving Emile Smith-Rowe a go? Because I watched a few highlight reels from him when he was at Huddersfield. He is the type of player that does. He's got great pace. He runs with the ball, and he has got plenty of confidence. Where he just will run down the throats of central defenders, causing them all kinds of carnage. He's got, apparently he runs into space. He runs into great spaces where it's just natural for him. Isn't he the type of player that we need? Would you not give him a chance? Rather than putting him out on loan.
I think we do. I think we do. But I think we only give him a chance if we can't bring in and our type of profile player. If we spend the money on a more defensive player, which I'll touch on in a second, or if we spend the money on another area of the pitch, then I think we've got to compensate it by giving a younger player a chance. Or like you said, Josh, moving Willian inside is an option. Saka is another option, playing in more central. I prefer him wide because of his pace and ability to get in behind on those flanks. But he proved at Wolves when he played that role that he can play centrally. So I mean, I
think there's a kind of saying that we could also get away with just having like a solid, like a Wilfred Ndidi in our midfield. We have someone like that, and it gives the rest, like a Smith Rowe, is you're not asking him necessarily to track back every single time. That it gives him that freedom to try something more expansive, more experimental. You know, like when you see Maitland-Niles, that's why we see him playing so well, is that he knows he's got that cover in behind him. It's why he'll do a step over whilst he's, bombing down the line, because he's also so confident about his own ability that he's got the pace to get back and recover if it doesn't work out for him.
Yeah.
I think that's the kind of, it's that limbo that we're in, that there's so many ways of solving our midfield problem that I don't think there's a single, there's so many ways of solving our problem at the moment that that's why I'm just completely open. Just like, right, Arteta, you build your midfield, you tell us what you're going to do, because it looks too lightweight on one side and then on the other side doesn't look creative enough. You need that kind of hybrid player, and I think that's why we're not just after Thomas Partey. I don't think he's that kind of unicorn we're looking for.
Yeah, we'll touch on the transfers and those players in a second. Just one thing on, shall I do the Thomas Partey thing now, or shall I save it? Let's do it now. At the end of this podcast, if you're watching live, you won't hear this because it will be seamlessly added by Danny in post-production. But I spoke to Joel of our Football Hipsters podcast, who's a very close La Liga follower. And he had around about a 2-minute message, 2 minutes 21 I believe it is, that we exchanged earlier on by audio, just explaining a bit about Thomas Partey. If you listen to this podcast and you've watched us live, don't worry, you don't have to sit through it all again. Just skip to the end and you can listen to that when Danny tacks it on. But that'll be available in post-production. But the long and short of it is, Joel was saying to me, and I agree with this, is that Partey is not, he's not, I hate the term DM. It's such an old-fashioned, just pointless expression. It means nothing. DM, defensive midfielder. It doesn't mean anything. Holding midfielder, box to box, energetic midfielder, combative midfielder. Now you're getting me moist. And that's the sort of qualities that Partey brings. He's not just he's physical, so he must be the new Vieira. Oh, he's got long legs, so he must be like Diaby. Oh, he's strong, so he's like Xhaka but can pass. He's got a lot more to him. And the price that's being quoted, that some people are saying, oh, it's a lot of money for a 27-year-old, I think is an absolute steal. 40-odd million release clause for a player of Champions League experience who's played under arguably the biggest shithouse that's ever managed in European football, excluding that twat up the road, who's essentially, and a few other people have said, Simeone, why does he want him to go? He doesn't want him to go. He's basically said, as Joel points out in this message he sent me, he's given him his blessing to leave if he wants to try something new. Out of respect for the player and the service that he's given him. This is a player who essentially ended the career of Atletico Madrid's longest serving holding midfielder, whose name completely escapes me, and it's really it's not. I always want to say
Koke or Garcia.
No, it was the guy who's Raul Garcia.
Gabby.
That's the Badger. Essentially ended his career in terms of Atletico Madrid time because he was pushing so hard to get in the side. He came on as a substitute in a few games and then worked his way straight into the team and played his way in. And he's got more to his game than just running around tackling people. He is athletic. He is box to box. He does cover a lot of ground, and his passing is hugely underrated. And it would just give us that, as you said, Josh, that Ndidi type of situation where you've got a physical, powerful player, but with so much more to his game. He's not just going to run around kicking people when we're on the counter attack. He is so much more than that. And that's why I would add him. And that's my 2 cents worth there. Danny,
being 27 though, do you not think Arsenal are moving into that era now where they are purchasing players that 25, 23, 24, 25, because at 27, he'll maybe get a 3-year contract at Arsenal. There's no sell-on really after 30 years, really. And £50 million is reportedly the buyouts at 50 million. I'm not sure, but it's a lot of money to play in this era that we're just going through at the moment, where when you're talking about £20 million for a young Ainsley Maitland-Niles. With everything that he may offer. Now, I know he's not up to the standard at the moment of Partey, but there's a bit of difference in age. And do you not think that Arsenal are moving into a different era where they need a bit of value out of these players at the moment?
Yeah, I think there's something to be said of that. I mean, the first thing to say about his age is he's 27 as of time of recording. He was born on June the 13th. So as we all know, that he is now 27 until he turns 28, which is how it works. So he has only just turned 27. So I suppose is that argument. The biggest issue I've got with it, Geoff, and I don't know whether I'm just getting old and the game's moving on, but I'm getting so sick and tired of people, and I don't mean you when I say this, but people constantly going on about this sell-on value, this we've got to be looking to sell them on in 3 years. I want an Arsenal team that's going to compete now. I don't want a team that's going, oh yeah, I'm going to be really invested in that player. He's going to be fantastic. Oh, and in 2 years he's going to be sold to Chelsea, Man United, whatever. I think we need to almost get out of that mentality of, well, there isn't much sell-on value, because we've got so many young players coming through finally. And you look at that Hale End Academy, if you keep a Saka and you keep a Maitland-Niles, their value is increasing whilst you've spent the money on a player like Partey who comes in and makes an immediate impact. So, I mean, I don't know whether that's just me being old-fashioned, but I do feel like a lot of our fans are they're all becoming Swiss rambles, aren't they? You go on Twitter every day and somebody's telling you about the finances when, to be honest, Swiss is the only person I trust with those sort of figures. But I just feel like the sell-on thing is becoming too much of from a fan's perspective. I just want to see a team on the pitch that's capable of winning stuff. And I think Partey brings that. Do you think that's fair?
I understand. Of course. Yeah, I understand. I quite agree with you. But I just think the club, are they not going down that road now where they want to buy these young players and they're going to get a bit of value out of them? And if they don't work out, at least they can get something for them rather than buy the Socrateses and players like that. Whereas if they don't work out, they're not worth two bob. One said, they get the 30 or 31 or something like that. That's where the problem lies. Yeah,
I think that's fair. The other thing I would say with Partey as well is his style of play and his athleticism. I think he'd still be comfortably with us at the age of 32, 33. I think arguably he'd have the kind of the Gilberto Silva effect where he would just keep going for as long as we needed him. So I think he'd be all right in terms of longevity. But like you say, the sell-on value maybe isn't there. Danny,
before you go on, one of your pirate mates is in the chat. J-Rob is there, so you know what he's paid for. You now need to act like a paid monkey.
Okay, well, it's not just J-Rob, is it? It's
the other one hasn't turned up.
Oh, Bill hasn't turned up.
No.
Right. Danny, did you like my comment to J-Rob as well? One of the things, the badges that the lovely people can join in. The white badge of choice looks suspiciously like Preston North End's badge.
Very suspiciously like it. Yeah, very suspiciously.
It does, doesn't it? Maybe I should go and change that. Sorry.
Well, I am nothing if not a whore. So a deal is a deal at the end of the day. So J-Rob, this is for you. Just I see you. I see you. I see you there. I see you. I see you. It's just for you, J-Rob.
Because J-Rob has paid his money and he gets a special pirate wave every time he's in the show from Kris. If Kris is here.
He does, yeah. You get a naked wave if you pay 3 times. No, you don't. Danny, anything you want to add on midfield? Because I'm conscious we want to get on with it.
I think they've all covered it perfectly. Yeah, I did like Geoff's bit about giving Emile Death Row, giving him a chance. He went to relegation threat in Huddersfield last season in the Championship. Yeah, helped them out. Scored 2 goals in I think 19 games. Had some really good games at times. He wasn't there to score goals, but the way he was running through their midfield, Josh, he was quite impressive at Huddersfield, wasn't he? Being our Championship expert.
Yeah, Danny Cowley, the manager there, was just he couldn't speak more highly of Smith Rowe. It was more the problem that the reason why Smith Rowe couldn't necessarily put in the numbers that we kind of would expect him in the Championship was just because the rest of the team wasn't at his standard. He was just at that level ahead. And yeah, it was just kind of frustrating for Cal. He was like, yeah, I kind of got to rein him in a little bit or look at how I bring the team in slightly differently because they're just not at the same level. And it's almost like, yeah, the Championship isn't kind of ready for him. And if he does go on loan, I think I've heard Fulham being rumoured as an option. So yeah, it's one of those that he could either get a Premier League loan if we find an option for him elsewhere, if we find an option internally anyway. If it's our or someone else comes in that we can use him for. But yeah, otherwise he looks like he's ready for Premier League football.
We have had 8 players go out on. We've got rid of 8 players from the overall squad and from the every player, and we have got 8 players out on loan, Kris.
Just the 8. I think a few more will go as well in terms of loaning options when the time comes. But I guess we'll see on that one. Danny, why don't you kick us off then with the forward line? I'll read it to you just in case you'd forgotten who we've got. We have got Willian, obviously new signing, Alexandre Lacazette, who apparently, if you believe rumours tonight, has sought clarification on his future. The idea of selling him to me is madness, but I would say that. We've got Nicola Pepe, Reece Nelson, Eddie Nketiah, Gabriel Martinelli, who we can't really call upon until at least the end of the year at the very earliest. And we have the captain, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who, if you believe some people, has signed, if you believe others, hasn't, blah, 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 blah. I personally think he's been signed for weeks. I just think it's a question of when rather than if, but I guess we'll see. Forward line, what's your thoughts, Danny? Are you happy with that? Are you concerned in any way about the uncertainty of Lacazette or indeed the uncertainty of Aubameyang as it currently stands?
And before I say that, as everyone knows, we're new to Twitch. We've got Grumpy Goon, Aten, Commander Root, Feet, Gick Gok, Jackosaurus, Jennings AFC, Lurks, Storsina, and the Hybrian all watching on Twitch. It says there's 9 of them watching. That's madness. Nick, go put your Twitch in there and so people can go and follow your Twitch. I think we need to break this down, Kris, into... Oh, God, that makes me sound like I know what I'm talking about. Break it down, go a little bit old school with this. They're all forwards, but they're not the same positions. Yeah. We've got Lacazette and Nketiah are going to be the ones playing up front in the main role because Aubameyang, while Lacazette is at the club, Aubameyang is not going to be played up front. And then we've got Pepe on the right, Nelson on the right, and we've got... on the left-hand side. I mean, you could even put Saka in there on the left-hand side. We also don't know where Willian is going to play. I think I agree with Josh where he could kind of be the number 8, the kind of Ramsey role because he's 32 now until he's 33. And so I think that could well be the position he is going to do because we looked at a couple of shows ago, we looked at where he had played and not last season, but the season before that, he did play quite a few games in the 10-8 kind of role for Chelsea. Then we got Martinelli, who I think is going to be one of those players where he can play in any one of the front 4 positions, and he's not back until the end of 2020. So when you break it down into all those individual positions, I think we are covered. We are blessed in so many that, like we are at the moment with our different. I'd never say the day. We are blessed when it comes to goalkeepers and defenders and strikers and some of the wingers. And the only place we really need to do it is going to be in midfield. But then I know we've already covered it. But if you've seen the way that Arteta has sprinkled his Arteta dust over Mustafi and Luiz and some of those other ones, what if he can do that to El Neni? What if El Neni becomes the modern day Patrick Vieira? Because he scores from the halfway line whenever he wants, and we've got all these. I mean, Maitland-Niles, we don't know where his future is. Whether he's going to be in the current section we're talking about, where he's going to be playing right wing, or whether he's going to be attacking. Whether he could be the 8, because I think much like we said for years, the Ox always wanted to play in the kind of 8-10 role for Arsenal, and he never really got the chance. But we've got so many players covering in so many positions. I think we really can't have too much of an opinion until the season gets going, because like Josh was saying, that QPR game, if we could have seen that would have given us all a much better idea of what's going on. But Arteta's been a sneaky Spaniard by not telling us.
Yes, sneaky. Josh, what's your what's your thoughts? I know you're well, I think you're in my camp in terms of you'd rather see Lacazette retained, particularly if Aubameyang's going to be playing wide. Any sort of concerns about our ability to score goals, because we did lean quite heavily on the skipper last year?
Yeah, I'm not too worried in terms of. I wouldn't mind if Lacazette went in that. He's one of those players that if a decent bid came in, I would look to do it if it helps sort out our midfield problem.
What do you call decent? Just out of interest.
I would start with probably 40, 50 million. I know we've got a hefty sell-on as well, back to Leon as well.
Know about that. Tell me about that, Josh.
So I think it's 30 to 35% sell-on clause.
35 is what I've been. Yeah.
So it's pretty hefty. So yeah, if anybody, let's do. Can I do some quick maths? 50 million transfer fee, 17.5 million goes to Leon. We retain the rest, which is 23 million. Yeah, 22.5 million. 22.5 million doesn't get you a decent enough striker to replace. Exactly. It might get you an Edward from
it does.
Maybe if while you're doing a cheeky little deal to Guendouzi to PSG, you say PSG, drop that 20% release or 40% sell on that they've got on his contract at Celtic. But it's really tight in terms of return and who we could get in. There's not many forwards in this market, and I don't see many moving at the moment.
No.
Even like a Moussa Dembele at Leon, there isn't the market for a player of that type at the moment. It's only really Atletico are apparently looking for a striker, but every other team that you'd say Lacazette is the quality for just aren't looking for a striker or don't have the funds because of the whole COVID situation. And it's still, we're asking a team to shell out 50 million. And unless you've saved up nicely because you've had a transfer ban in the previous window, so you've got another 150 million in the bank to go and splurge on a new forward line, then I don't see anyone coming in for Lacazette. And Nketiah is the one I'm not sure about Nketiah, to be honest, because of the talent we've got coming through, that if he's not right for us, I wouldn't necessarily persevere with that project. If there is a Balogun, John Jules, who has just gone out on loan, and if Danny is quicker, Doncaster, that's it. So there's, I think maybe Nketiah we see for a little bit longer. But otherwise, again, he's another one that if someone came in with a silly bid, 30 million, which you could see, as bearing in mind Aston Villa have just paid the high side of 28 to 33 for Ollie Watkins from the Championship, then Nketiah...
Was he any good though, Josh?
Ollie Watkins is a decent striker. Yeah, for sure. So I'd say that you'd want a similar kind of thing from Nketiah as well. And there would be a market for him, I think, at that kind of value. But and in terms of wingers, we've kind of mentioned we've got so many players who can play in a multitude of positions. I think another season of Reece Nelson, just learning his trade, would be great for him. I still think there's a lot of work he needs to do, but again, I'd keep hold of him. Saka as a winger as well. I think the big thing for these guys depends on the formation, how much ammunition they'll be getting. Because I think that was a big thing, that we didn't have a huge amount of trouble getting the ball out to the wingers. Especially it was then what the wingers were doing with it. It was especially the ball wouldn't stick to Pepe as much as I'd like it to have done. For him to be the creative force, and I think it's the big second season of him that I'm really looking forward to see if he can kick on from where he was. If that doesn't happen, then I would worry for the rest of our forward line. I don't want to heap too much pressure on him, but he does have to kind of start performing in this second season.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comment. And Geoff, wrap us up on on the squad in terms of that forward line. Do you share the same views as the others in terms of it's fine as it is, don't mess with it, or do you feel like we need to strengthen it? And is there enough depth there if we were to get an injury, for example? Aubameyang's record's been fantastic. What if he gets an injury? Is there enough there to cover that?
Well, I think wide we're okay. Now we've got Willian in. I'm really looking forward to seeing Willian. And I know he's 32 with what we discussed earlier on, but he is a player that I think he's still got a good couple of years in him. He's looked after himself. With Lacazette, he's at that place now where if we are going to cash him in, now is the time, in my belief, because what is he now? How old is he now? Is he 28, 29?
I believe, yeah,
something like that. Yeah, so now is the time. If we are going to take a bid on him and to get the biggest bid that we can, I mean, Josh, I can't see him as a £50 million striker. I don't know what did we pay for him? 55 million, something like that at the time. And if we did, I think it's only. I think the sell on clause. I think they can only take the percentage agreed on any profit that we make, rather than the whole fee. You understand me? Because they can't have two bites of the cherry, can they? But I think that's how it works. So I don't think he's going to be anywhere near 50 or 55 million pound at the moment, to be honest with you. I think he's more with his age. I think he's maybe 30 million pound, maybe 35 million pound if we're lucky. Would I take that 30 or 35 million pound at the moment? Probably, because I think Mikel he seems to like Nketiah. I don't see it at the moment, but obviously he sees him in training every day. He scored a good hat trick the other day for England. I know that, which is always good for the profile and everything else and the confidence. We've got Martinelli coming in now. Martinelli, the promise is there. It's just unbelievable. And would you play him down the middle? And what about Pepe? Did he not play him as a 9 in France? I don't know.
He's always been a wide forward, but with Lille, he had that kind of. The team was built around him, so he was playing.
Was he not up top though?
No. Always played as a wide forward.
Okay. Yeah, but so we're in a situation where you stick or twist. Do you sell him? Do you sell Lacazette and put Aubameyang in the middle? I think he's doing a great job outside there, Aubameyang. To be honest with you, I'm not sure that I'd want to change it. But if you did, you've got Saka that goes out there. You've got Willian that could go out there. We're okay wide, I think, at the moment. And I just think we could got to run with it. And it's a good squad of players. I think going forward we're okay as long as we can create for those forwards. The players up top. But it will be interesting to see what happens again. I've got about the same thing. He's got a lot of working out to do, Mikel, to satisfy everybody. So it'll be really, really interesting.
Yeah, I agree. And for the record, I really like Edson Odward at Celtic. If we were within the need of a striker, I think he's the one I would go for. I think he's got a lot of potential for his age in the Scottish League. You wouldn't pay too much more than what you would anywhere else. So I think he would be the one I would go for. But like Josh, you said, interesting that Villa were linked with him and yet have gone for a highly priced Championship player instead. So what that says about his availability is anyone's guess. Lacazette, by the way, is 30 in May next year. He's 29 until May because that's how it works. Right. Okay. So that's the squad covered then. We're not going to spend a great amount of time.
Kris?
Yes.
Can I just cover one thing about the squad?
You may.
And that's the size of it. Mm-hmm. Because it is too big. And this isn't I think it's too big. This is numerically, it is too big for the 25-man squad rule of the Premier League.
Yeah.
So to go quickly through it, you need, it's a maximum of 17 non-homegrown players in your squad of 25 that can then have 8 homegrown players to make up to 25. And this is only players who are over the age of 20, over the age of 20, so 21 and over. are included at the start of the season as well. I think that's also got to be caveated. So if you turn 21 during the season, it doesn't count. So in terms of
21.
Exactly. So in terms of homegrown, we have 10 at the moment that are eligible. I think I can quickly whiz through those. Bellerin, Chambers, Holding, Matt Macy, Maitland-Niles, Martinez, Nketiah, Willock, Sheaf, who's now just gone out on loan to Coventry.
Yeah.
And then Bowler, who's a left back. So that's 9 at the score because I'm not including Sheaf now. So it's fine to have 9, but it's non-homegrown where we've got the problem. And we've got 19 players there. So we know that if we want to bring in Partey, we need to get rid of at least 3 players to make space to bring him in as a 1.
Yeah. So Ganduzi and Bay another.
Socrates. Yeah, it's Socrates. So then if you want to bring in Aouar, who is 22?
Yeah, 22. Yeah. God, you're asking me these questions. I'll find out.
Yeah, it's 22. That's another one you need to get rid of. And this isn't even going into the microcosm of which position these players play in. We can't have them in place. Is it a case of Mesut Ozil? Sorry, you're not in the Premier League squad. It's a huge thing. To help everybody out in terms of which players aren't included, Reece Nelson, Smith Rowe, Celiba, Martinelli, Saka. I'll mention Olayinka as well because he popped up in a couple of squads for us.
Archie's put here, Celiba will be homegrown next year. Is that right? Because of his age?
It's 2 seasons at Arsenal, isn't it? Under the age of something. But it doesn't matter at the moment because he's under 21.
Yeah.
So he goes in the 19. It's the same as what happened with Guendouzi when we got him last season. That he was under 20, didn't count, but now he's over 21 or 21 or over. He's now counts as non-homegrown. So that's the problem we do have. But yeah, I think the way it would work is Celiba would come through as homegrown. But the problem's here this summer that we've got to get rid of 3 or 4 players before we can, which is why I thought Gabriel was taking so long to announce. Because he tipped us over, as did Ceballos as well. So yeah, there's a lot of players that need to go out.
Well, it's almost like you've kind of queued me up, really, and you've segued that effortlessly, brilliantly, without even really knowing. Because we're now going to tune into the bit. Danny, you might want to make a note of the time of the pod here, because frankly, this is the only 5 minutes anyone's going to listen to. We all know that. It's time for Geoff's transfer corner. This is the part where basically Geoff either makes or breaks everyone's summer in 5 minutes. So no pressure, Geoff. Obviously, without revealing your sources, we know ketchup and mustard are overrated anyway. But what have you been hearing, whether it be on your travels or at home, in terms of what the club is doing business-wise? I think we're all pretty sure that there's going to be some outgoings that will probably happen a bit later in the window. But what's your understanding of the latest in terms of what we may be bringing in and how that is going? Do you sort of active negotiations you think are going on at the moment?
You know what, Kris, you're breaking up, mate. I beg your pardon. Brief it for me, could you?
Oh, we queued you up. Yeah, of course. I've just said about the transfer situation. Everyone always wants to know how much sort of intel that you might have or whispers. So I just wanted to know what you think at the moment in terms of business the club are likely to want to be pushing to do, how realistic you think some deals are, and where the priority is from what you're hearing in terms of who may or may not be coming in.
Well, the first thing's got to happen. Like I said, we do need to offload. I don't think there's going to be anybody else coming in until we sell some. I think we're really that strapped. I do think we're looking for that central midfield player that we're in need of, whether it be Partey or the other chap that you're just talking about. How do you pronounce his name? I can't remember his name.
Houssem Aouar.
Aouar, yeah, Aouar. Apparently, there's more or less a deal done with Partey, but I think they're just trying to squeeze Atleti to get the price down a bit. I think somewhere between 30 and 35 million pounds would do it, but the buyout clause is above that. I'm not sure. I think he's going to go right down to the wire. But apparently, Partey has had offers from other clubs, and he does want to come to Arsenal. But whether or not Arsenal could just drop the price a little bit in the current circumstances, and whether Atleti will let them go, it's all in the making, isn't it? We'll have to just wait. But I do think there's going to be a hell of a lot of work between now and what is it, October the 2nd, October the 6th, something like that. When the window closes, there'll be lots of movement. I think in and out. As long as we can get the outs done, we'll secure a midfield player to come in. That's as much as what I can tell you at the minute. That's as much as I know.
Yeah, fair enough. And just a sub question to that: any player you think we might all be a bit surprised that they might be willing to let go in terms of the outs? Because there's a lot of talk about the obvious ones that have got value. Anybody that might surprise a few that we might actively sort of accept an offer for?
What our players, you mean, going out?
Yeah.
I'm just hoping they'll do. I'm just hoping they can get some way. They'll find a movement for Mesut Ozil, because it doesn't look like he's going to be in the team. We spoke about that already. £350,000 a week is a hell of a lot of money. 18 mil to get him off the wage bill. I mean, that would be great. We've got to try and get it done, but apparently he doesn't want to move anywhere, and I think he's maybe going to see out his contract. So that's going to be a tough one. What do you do with regards to again Maitland-Niles and Lacazette and even Hector? I would personally take maybe £25 million for Hector Bellerin, because I don't think he's the best right back at the club. I think Cedric, I know he's old, but again, he's a good player. I think he's a good player. I did fancy him at Southampton a few years ago. When he come into Southampton, I think he's a good player. He's especially for what Mikel Arteta wants, the attacking part of his game is much better. I think he's the best right back at the club at the moment. So maybe I think Hector, I think Paris, if they can pull up the money or close to the money that Arsenal want, I think he'll be out. Yeah,
agreed. And
Kris, I've got a question for you.
I've got one more for Geoff if you want to ask me afterwards. It's a one-word answer, just a straight yes or no. Geoff, if we can sell who we want to sell, would Arsenal want to bring in both Partey and Aouar? Yes or no?
Definitely. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Definitely.
I agree. I think that's something that's been swept under the rug. So I wanted just to address that one. Okay, yeah, Danny, you wanted to ask me something? You poor bugger.
My local team's Peterborough United. Come on, the posh. Many years ago, they got fucked over by Spurs because Spurs bought a couple of players off them with huge sell-on clauses, and then Spurs managed to get rid of, I think, both of those players in swap deals. So Peterborough got fuck all sell-on clause. If we did a straight swap with Lacazette to Atletico Madrid, which is where he wanted to go before the transfer, because they were on a transfer ban, and then he came here apparently. If we said to them, we're going to give you Lacazette plus 15 million for Partey, would we still be obliged to pay Leon their 35%? Could we be sneaky and get around it like that?
No, as far as you reckon, yeah. I mean, as far as I knew, if he leaves, he leaves. But then I suppose if you're not paying a fee, then they only get a percentage of the fee you pay. So,
because that's a lot of money we'd save, Geoff.
Yeah, well, I think Arsenal, they've been quite creative, haven't they already? With what deal was it? Ceballos. I think that was a no-brainer. That was a great deal for them. No loan fee, and we just pay his wages, which worked out in our favour. I think they've got to be creative in the market this summer, and that goes for all the teams across the world. Everyone's got to be a little bit more creative, put a little bit more work in to get the deals done what they want. So again, we'll have to see how we go. But I do think that if we can sell, we can make the money up. We'll get them. We could get them two centre midfield players in, or the two midfield players that we're looking for.
Yeah.
The other thing might be that Atletico want the money for what's the word? Accounting purposes. Sorry to go full Swiss ramble on you.
Bounce the ball.
Kris. But let's just mention Artur and Pjanic's not swap deal.
Yeah,
From Juventus to Barcelona. Only £10 million has technically moved across bank accounts, but it's 60 million and 70 million transfer fees. That might be what's kind of they're pushing for. So they want us to buy Partey outright, and then they'll come along and buy Lacazette.
Yeah, which, to be fair, I would be inclined to. I mean, I wouldn't sell Lacazette anyway, but I think like Geoff has said, if the trouble with the buyout clause is that the minute for me, a buyout clause is only relevant to a rich club. It's only really relevant to a Chelsea, a Man City, a Man United, a PSG, because it's basically, to me, a buyout clause is a flex. It's the club who put the buyout clause in place saying, you are not having our player, and if you are having our player, you're paying through the nose for him. If it's a buyout clause in terms of a club like us, we're always going to come in and go, yeah, that buyout clause is lovely, fantastic, but we're not going to pay that. So let's just stop talking crap and let's just talk about what you would accept. Because we both know that you'd be willing to sell because you wouldn't have put the buyout clause so low. If Atletico Madrid thought he was worth 70, 80 million quid, that's what they would have put the buyout clause in. That 40 odd million is there for a reason. It's the maximum they would take from the deal. And I feel like we're just kind of moving things around a bit to sort of say, well, we know what your price is, but this is what we're willing to pay. It's kind of transfer poker a bit. And that's why the transfer windows are so long and winding, because these deals are so complex. And anyone that's watching the Tottenham Nothing documentary, as I believe it's called, will have seen that in that Daniel Levy, who looks and talks and acts a little bit like that uncle that you don't like to admit you've got in the family. You know, that one. He was saying on the show, and I think it's been done on the Man City one as well, these transfer dealings and the stuff that you see on these shows that behind the scenes, there's a lot more to it than just here's this money, here's that player. There's so much more that goes with it. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. So there you go, boys and girls. There's a little bit of transfer tittle tattle for you. I do just want to very briefly just talk about two subjects in one before we go to listeners' questions, which is a little look ahead to the Fulham game and a bit of discussion just in brief about the fans, which I probably will lean on Geoff with more because he goes more than us three. So Josh, I'll lean on you for the Fulham preview, 12:30 kickoff. On Saturday, we open up the Premier League season. Fulham with a new goalkeeper tonight. Alphonso Areola's joined them. It's a game, realistically, if we're going to do anything this season, we've got to go with the mentality of winning that, surely.
Sorry, was that to me?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
No, the other job.
No. You know what? You said it whilst I was half listening. It kind of sounds like Geoff, but it's fine. So how I kind of see us going to Fulham, I'm pretty excited about this one in terms of a first game of the season. They've brought in some interesting players for Fulham, but again, nothing that says to me that they'll be a force to be reckoned with. They only just come back up with a very similar squad that they went down with. Even Unai Emery could knock 5 past them when we played them at Craven Cottage all those 2 seasons ago. And that squad hasn't changed a huge amount. And so I'm not wholly worried by this. I say I'm at the confidence level that of my fantasy team, I am really seriously thinking about triple captaining Aubameyang.
So am I.
First game week in. I won't say that we're going to score 100 goals, but there's still the threats that were there 2 seasons ago are still roughly there. Mitrovic is still trying to work out if he's a Premier League striker or a excellent Championship striker. Again, Anthony Knockaert's excellent Championship winger, not great Premier League player. And that you can just continue going through that squad and use the same moniker for every single one of the players in there. Anthony Robinson at left back, he's one I would be intrigued to look at. But again, Joe Bryan, the hero from the playoffs, will probably start ahead of him. And just got to hope Areola makes a tit of himself.
Hey, someone had to say it, didn't they? Danny, when you finished playing with your pussy, just before I come to you, Josh mentioned it there. ABW fantasy football is rocking and rolling. Just a reminder, by the way, guys and girls, you've only got 2 days to get your team's input into the app. But yeah, if you download the official Premier League fantasy football app, you can join the ABW League, or you can join the Pirate Premier, my own personal league. You can use the code H8VTUG. TUG. How appropriate, and you can join the Pirate Premier League. I think I've got like 12 teams in there or something. So if you want to mess around with that, but if you want to join the ABW Fantasy Football League, there is one simple rule. Yes, I'm looking at you, Collins, and you, Mel, especially you, Mel, because you won't be considered if you have any Spurs players in your squad. At any point in this season, you just get banned. It's simple. Like, it's not hard. And Ellis tried to give me this fluff about, you're a dictator. You're there. Fuck you, Ellis. Okay? Fuck Ellis. All right? The rules are very simple. No Spurs. Okay.
Chris, I'm going to try and get our fantasy thing because someone wants it in the... Oh, here we go. Go on, keep talking. Okay.
Well, I'll go to Geoff while you're doing that because I want to get Geoff's thoughts on the season ahead. Geoff, when you get back into this country and life sort of gets back to the new normal, I hate that phrase, but there's been a lot of talk in the last week or so. I think Tim Stillman's been talking about it at length on a lot of podcasts about fans returning potentially to the Emirates. There's some talk of 15, some talk of 10,000. I believe Cambridge United is the first team that have been dabbling with letting crowds in at lower league level. I think it's League 2 level this week. Mixed results with that. We've seen a lot of COVID cases break out in France, where they've had they're ahead of a lot of the other leagues. In fact, that they're already underway, and they've been letting in small crowds with masks in France. And yet, a lot of the French, basically every team has had a case, if not multiple cases in Marseille and PSG's case or situations. I just want to know what your thoughts are in terms of, like, you personally. Are you going to be looking to get back to games in person? How do you feel it's going to be? And we've seen sort of talk to the government of the government have sort of dropped this idea that the 6-person outside group thing is now going to be pulled back next week. So that there is a real risk that we could be entering a second spike of this pandemic, and especially with the winter weather coming on. Where do you sit, and how do you feel about returning to games, and how do you think it's going to affect the Premier League as a whole from a fan's perspective as yourself?
Well, you know what? My Wi-Fi is terrible here at the minute, Chris, and my battery's slowly screaming away. But I got the gist of what you were saying. I mean, I think it's 10 or 15% that they're talking about getting them in. Allegedly, I think it was the Sheffield United game. I reckon that's going to be put back. I think between now and then, I just think that they might lose their bottle a bit, the government, and push it back to another game. And there's these you've got all the season ticket holders have got to put their you've got to go into the ballot, and you've got to get your group of 4s in all together, so you can at least try and sit together. I just think it's going to be really tricky for them. It would be great to get some fans in there and try and open it up. Personally, I think it's all a lot of old cods. I think we should, obviously, I think you should let half the stadium in and just run with it and see how we're getting on. I don't want to get into politics too much, but there are more people getting knocked over and struggling from it. There's less people going into hospital down to the COVID. I think the country has got to get moving, and sport. We need people into sport and theatres and stuff like that. I'm not sure that the government are ready to let us get amongst it at the moment. I think it will be maybe late October, and if we do have another little spell, you know what, they might pull it again until January or February. But there is going to come a time, hopefully, that we'll all get back to watch the football matches, because we're all missing it. I think that live audience there's nothing like being there live watching matches. I've been very, very, very fortunate over the years to see most of the games live for many, many years now, and I've been missing it. And no doubt a lot of other people have as well. And watching it, watching it live is just a totally different experience. And until we can get back to that, even the players, I'm sure that they miss it as well. So, but whether or not it will happen this side of Christmas, I think it's a toss-up, mate. I really do.
Yeah, sure, same. And you've missed it from your perspective, like you've missed not being there because obviously you go most weeks. So, it was probably quite a big shock to you, I guess, when this all went down before we spoke about it last.
Yeah, indeed. And you know what? I'm going to be the last one back to work because I'm in corporate hospitality that deals with the football and the tennis and, cricket and stuff like that. And even the concerts all around the world. That's what the industry that I'm in. And I think everyone's suffering in my game. And we've not had a chance since last March. And I'm dying to get amongst it again, and obviously try to start earning a few quid again. But it's just really not happening at the moment. So it was a shock, but you know what? We've had the lockdown now. I think we've just got to move forward now and get everyone back to work again.
Sure. Yeah. I guess we will see what happens and see what the future holds. Right, that's the main source of the show done. We're going to kind of wrap up with around about 5 minutes or so of listener questions. So if you've got them, whack them in the box now, and Josh and Danny will do the donkey work and pull those out for me. Just while we're waiting for those to come through, I'm just going to do a little bit of plugging. If you want to join the membership packages that we're offering, as Danny has mentioned, you can do via YouTube or Twitch. You can do the sign up things there. No pressure, no Patreons, no paywalls. Danny won't come round your house and throw a brick through your window if you don't sign up. I mean, he might, but it's unlikely. So yes, if you want to sign up, you get you get your own little icon thing, and you get some privileges, and you get waves from me and all sorts of stuff. So if you want to do that and you want to support the show, fantastic. All the money, I say all the money, it's like it's going to be thousands of pounds rolling in, but anything that we do make does go back into the show. Pays for my haircuts, pays for Josh's moustache cuts, it pays for Geoff to be ferried off to countries week in, week out. No, it doesn't really. It all goes back into the show. We pay for the tech we use, and all that good stuff, hosting, websites, all the stuff that I don't understand and Danny deals with. It has to be paid for by somebody, and that somebody is often Danny. So he's too humble to admit it himself. So that's where the money goes. And we are going to be doing a bit of merchandising. You might have noticed at the start of the show, Danny said about this beautiful t-shirt. If you want to make my ugly mug the center of attention there, Danny. These are kind of concepts at this stage, very early, working with the design simply and effectively. But the plan is to have such designs as this moving forwards. Thank you, Danny. You can make me small again now. I don't like seeing myself that big. It's horrendous for all of us. But yeah, we are going to be producing some t-shirts. That might extend to things like mugs and God knows what else. But we're going to start with t-shirts. And the plan is to settle on a design, and you can pretty much select whatever color you want, men's, women's sizes, whatever you want. The t-shirts will be kind of basic grade, nothing too fancy. All the printing and the designing work will be done by me and me alone, as in I will be making them all from scratch with my bare hands. So if you've got like personalization that you want or anything like that, just let us know, give us a tickle, and we'll do our best to make it happen for you. So there you go. If you like these t-shirts, or if you've got some ideas for t-shirts, we're mainly going to do these logos, but we probably will do a couple of like slogan t-shirts as well. So, if there's a particular phrase or something like that, you get it. You know what people do with monetization these days. We're just trying to make it fun, basically. If you want a t-shirt and you want something with our branding on it, let us know. Danny, we're still working out prices and stuff, aren't we? It's still in the early stages, but we'll I'm sure tweet once it's all live and ready to rock and roll and whatnot. It'll all be done through PayPal initially, so you just pay for what you want. And we will aim to post. I think we'll probably aim to post worldwide, won't we, Danny? As long as the money covers the post, we'll get them worldwide.
With this being ABW, we're completely open with how much every single thing is going to cost. Hopefully, we'll be making about £5 profit per shirt, and then all that money will go back into the podcast. But we will be giving a breakdown because Kris is doing absolutely everything. So Kris is going to make some money for doing it because it's his job, and then we're going to make some money out of it. And the rest of it, we'll put the costs even down to how much it cost us to do the vinyl, because we see some of the shirts will have stuff written on the back of the shirts, some on the front, some different colours, some different sizes and styles of shirts. And it'll just be making as we go along. It's not going to be a business or anything. So, oh, here you go. Paul wants to know any pirate themes.
Yeah, I mean, we can do. There isn't a lot I can't do. I can't do actual photos. So, like, if you say, can you put a photo of your favourite, of your pet dog in an Arsenal shirt? I can't do photographic work, but anything stencilish like this, or slogans, or a lot of you that followed the Pirates account, you'll know that I did all of our kits. So, I mean, even if you literally wanted a bespoke ABW sort of themed football shirt, so you've got a plain football shirt and you wanted a badge on it and stuff like that, we're pretty much open to that. But predominantly, we want to try and stick to the logos like this because, it makes life easier. I'm a one-man band, so ideally we want to stick to that. But if you have got a specific request, best thing to do is just DM the podcast account or email me, or it's probably easier to just do the podcast account and Danny will forward it on to me, and we'll see what we can do. So early stages, and like I say, it's not a shilling. It's it is, but it's just a bit of fun. And I know when we did it, when Jace used to do shirts for us, and in the past we experimented with a few bits and bobs. I remember actually seeing a pirate shirt worn by a friend of mine who got it done. He wore it to an Arsenal game itself, which was like the biggest thing I've ever seen, like compliment to me. It was so fun. So that is what it's there for. It's just a bit of fun. And if you like it, great. If we sell 2, fantastic. If we sell 202, brilliant. It's the way it is. And no, we're not doing masks. Rubber masks, gimp masks, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I could. John does a fine line of those, I think.
But what annoys me is I see so many YouTube people doing it. You'll get a tiny logo that big on the heart bit, and there'll be 25 quid.
Yeah.
Our ones will, if Kris keeps talking, I'll go and show you. I'll get a picture up of one of the where you may have seen it on our Twitter a few times, but we've got an actual. Oh no, how do I make this go into there?
Like the front and the back, isn't it?
Yeah.
Essentially, so you'd have this logo on the front, and this is a prototype only. It doesn't have to be this big. We'll probably make them smaller ones, and then you'll have the Bergkamp 10 on the back if you want that. Some people don't want detail on the back of shirts; they just want plain, which is fine. We can do that, and like I say, we'll cater to sizes and
there you go. When you have that on the back of the shirt, that is not a couple of quid's worth of printing. So you'll have the option whether you want that on the back or not. Hope at the start we'll be doing black shirts with white writing, blue shirts with yellow or gold writing, and red shirts with white writing. And so that you literally know when you're doing it. If you do buy anything, then it's all going to be made by ABW. My cat's getting the
fair hand.
So yeah, hopefully, because Kris is having to eat out of bins at the moment, so we're going to be helping him eat healthily. He's eating out of date lasagna and mashed potato.
Facts. It's facts. Yeah, it is facts. And just looking at the chat, Dubbin and Hemp asked for the Pirates fancy code. It's H, as in H for Harry. The number 8. No, all lowercase. So it's Hotel 8. What's V in phonetic language?
Virgin.
No. Okay, Virgin. H8VTUG. So hotel number 8. What is V in phonetic?
Victor.
Victor. Of course it is. Victor
Tango, uniform, golf.
There you go.
So there you go. Policeman.
We'll probably tweet it at some point, or just message me on the Twitter and send me a dick pic, and I'll get you in. It's all good.
Tags in that say "Made in Plymouth."
Yeah, I mean, we're open to ideas. Like we want to make it fun. So if you want to get on board, great. If you don't, bollocks to you. Right, okay, I think we've lost Geoff. He was broadcasting from a signal in the middle of the Mediterranean, so I imagine we're not going to get Geoff back. So if we don't, thank you, G, much appreciated. So we will just finish with listener questions. I've probably wanged on a bit too long about the plugging, so we'll get into it. Boys and girls, did we pull any questions from the chat?
I've got all of them. I was going to go through them.
I'll hand over to you then, Josh. You can ask them.
Thank you very much, Kris. So what have we covered already? Imagine I could have done this during the time you're waffling on but I decided to go and try and find my ABW themed Arsenal shirt that I've got, but I can't find it. So we'll have to go to the questions. The first one. Let's go. Quick one from L. That's EL, or it might be EI, to be fair, in all capital letters. I don't know, but this is going to Danny because Danny is well connected.
Yes.
His question, or their question, is a few rumours circulating today that Grealish might join Arsenal. Any truth in them?
No.
Where did that
There we
come
go.
Back of a fag packet. Who? What?
That is the transfer generator in full swing. I think that one. Jack Grealish to Arsenal.
Don't need him. Although I do like the fact that he's gone full Ainsley MaitlandNiles and got his socks rolled in like proper footballers.
I like him as a player, but I just, like you said, I don't think he's a player we need. Is he really?
Spurs written all over him.
No.
Yeah, feels a bit dirty, doesn't it?
Dirty boy.
Dirty.
Loki73 asks, and this go to you, Kris. Where do you think we will finish in terms of in the league? In the third.
No fucking around. I think we can finish third. People will laugh at me. I don't care.
Is that the only question I'm going to ask is above or below Fat Frank?
Oh, above. That they're the one that I think there's all this bullshit about. Oh, look at the signings they've made. Yeah, they've still got a fraud as a manager. So it doesn't matter how good your signings are. If you're managed by a fraud, as are Manchester United, as are Spurs, I just don't see it working. Yes, Kai Havertz is a fantastic signing. Timo Werner is a wonderful footballer. Hakim Ziyech on his day, I think, will potentially be very, very good. But I think that's going to take an awful lot of time to gel. Thiago Silva's past his best, and anybody with pace will rip him in half. Manchester United, I think Donny van Beek is an excellent signing, but I don't really think they needed that type of player. They still can't defend for Toffee. They've still got a limp-wristed goalkeeper and no forward line to speak of that worries me.
Donny playing the same position as the penalty merchant.
Yeah, Fernandes and Pogba. Yeah, I mean, he can play deeper, and I think they'll probably get round it by doing that. And they've got the world's greatest holding midfielder in Scott McTominay, of course, so I'm sure they'll be fine.
To Kris, Josh, I didn't hear.
Sorry?
What did you ask, Kris, in the first place?
Where we finished?
It was 4 words, was that question, and I've currently got a soliloquy as an answer.
Well, I just thought I'd flash it out of it. That's all. I think Liverpool and City are in the distance, but I genuinely think we've got enough to finish in third. I certainly think we'll make top 4.
I'm saying third as well.
Yeah, good. Let's have some fucking optimism. Let's not go all a certain person that let's not go there. But I'm sick of these people being negative about we still got the same squad. Oh, well, the manager's still unproven. Oh, there's no guarantee. Well, fuck off. Just be positive. Like, the world is literally burning around us. Like, can we not have a little bit of positivity in here and maybe just go into a season and rather than saying, oh God, we're going to struggle to win any games ever, why don't we go, actually, we got a very, very talented young manager, a very talented young squad, which potentially could be improved further before the end of the window. And I don't think, other than the 2 I've mentioned, that a huge amount of competition around us. So, yeah, why not?
Awesome. Done. Fin.
Yeah. Fin.
Over.
Ave. Gringo.
Many of them. Danny, this is another question coming to you from, let's go this one from Noir Confidential. Now, Noir, you get to guess which question this is going to be because you've sent us a couple. But the guessing won't last that long because, Arteta didn't want to change the captaincy situation in the middle of the season. But what are your thoughts on Aubameyang as captain?
Someone made the point years ago that whoever is captain makes no difference. You can have 11 captains on the pitch, as we did back in the olden days. Gilberto and Vieira and Henry and all those. We had loads of them. So I don't really think. I think it's more of a ceremonial thing. If it's your birthday, you're the captain. I think that shows how important being captain is now. So I don't really care who has it.
Excellent. That's a nice, concise answer as well. Thank you, Danny.
Had to. I was thinking of you, Josh.
Yeah, even though we've now paid for StreamYard and we get unlimited streaming minutes, we still have to be careful with the limit.
It's like my wet dream, isn't it? Unlimited.
There's only so many hours in the day. That is now the limit we've got. Question for you, Kris. It's from J.Arsenal. If Arsenal were in the Champions League final against a French team, how many goals would Kris want the French team to win by?
No, I'd still Arsenal at heart, but there's nothing wrong with supporting French teams in Europe. If it came down to France, England, then we know the answer to that one. I'd hope France would absolutely smash England. So there's no issues there. I'm France through and through in terms of international football. But no, I am very much into my French football, and I love French footballers. And I'd love like an Arsenal-Lyon final, for example, would be fantastic. But yeah, I will certainly be supporting French teams in Europe next season before anyone goes, I'm just going to put it out there. I will be. But that doesn't mean I don't want to see Arsenal win the Europa League, because of course I do.
Nice. Yeah, I think we should win. We'll win the Championship. We'll smash any French team anyway, right? Because it will only be PSG, and they're basically the French Spurs.
Spurs.
PSG are the French Spurs. They're bottle jobs of the highest order. Yeah, it annoys you to say it, but you're like, oh shit.
Well, to be fair, I don't think they bottled it this year. They have been. I'm no denying that. I think this year they didn't bottle it. They just got play it. They just got beaten by.
They just got beaten by Bayern.
by Bayern, who just steamroll everybody. So yeah, I mean, I think they'll be back, but we'll see.
Well, we'll keep it on. We'll keep it slightly French as well. Danny, this is from. I'm assuming this is some royalty. Must be Dame Judi Dench, because it's from M.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I can't think of another one off the top of it. It was Michael Fassbender. No, it wasn't Michael Fassbender. Anyway, Ralph Fiennes. He was an M, wasn't he?
He was. He replaced her when she got annoyed.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. If there's any spoiler alert for Bond films. Yeah. And I'm too young to know off the top of my head who the previous M's were. But anyway, £50 million. I'm assuming it's pounds, not 50 meters, from PSG for Hector and Guendouzi. Oui or non?
No.
Cool.
Do you even know who he is?
A lot more than that. I think Guendouzi is going to be turned around, and he is going to be playing for Arsenal again this season. I think the turd has turned. The tide has turned. The turd. Sorry, Guendouzi.
Can I just add one sentence to that?
Yes.
Good luck trying. That you're making it.
The talk of PSG trying to sign Guendouzi is true. The talk of them trying to push Draxler our way is even more true. And that's the priority. They need to sell players because they need to raise money. So I wouldn't believe a lot of what you're hearing tonight. At the moment, Guendouzi's an Arsenal player. Unless we get the right offer and he gets the right offer, he'll probably stay. So, and I hope he does. He was a prick, but he's a very, very talented prick. And anyone that doesn't think he's talented, go back and remind yourself of, I think it was the Villa game where he basically ran our entire midfield for 90 minutes. So people have got short memories sometimes.
We're all a twat at that age. Everyone reserved. If Xhaka can have redemption.
Yeah, exactly.
Did a lot worse.
Case in our own midfield that we can refer to. It's not like we've got it's not like we've got the in-betweeners in our midfield calling Icelandic birds to our hotel at 3 a.m, is it? It's not like our captain's a jailbird. So, it could be a lot worse. Do you know what I mean? And just on that.
Geoff's getting tasty. Geoff has put, I'll drive them to Paris.
Sacre bleu. That's because Geoff's looking for a gig at the moment, isn't he?
Just in Paris. Yeah. So I don't think that's going to happen. PSG definitely want rid of a few players. They're trying to sign Jeffrey Kondogbia. Remember him?
Well, Yeah, so that covers those ones. What else have we got?
Got you covered, Kris. One sentence, he said.
It's fun.
It was a lot of commas and semicolons, but it was a sentence nevertheless.
Still good.
While you're looking, Kris, thoughts? Yes. Lucas says thoughts on the United shirt. It's not real.
It's real. The only thing that's changed is that apparently the players are going to be wearing plain white shorts and white socks. Originally, it was going to be the full zebra kit, and apparently they had so much pushback from, I believe it was even the club said, look, we're not going to fucking wear that. Can you imagine if Ferguson was still in charge and Adidas presented that? He'd have a fucking coronary. I mean, can you imagine? And I know they've tried to dress it up the stripes of Old Trafford. Don't get me wrong, Adidas have made us 3 fucking wonderful kits this year. If you haven't seen the third kit, that's equally nice. They've done us very well. They've done United up they've done them a copper. I mean, that home kit is basically bus seats, off of 1980s buses. Their away kit looks like an Action Man change or an Action Man kit change. And that third is just, I don't know. I don't know what they were trying to achieve, but it's not a good look.
I think it would work pretty well as camouflage, to be honest.
It probably would, yeah.
I think that's probably why they've changed the shorts, because they probably trained in it, realised they couldn't see each other. A bit like the grey kit they had from a couple of years ago. Because you use that design for hiding new cars, don't you?
Apparently, the grey.
World War II.
Yeah. I'm waiting for the time. Does it when they're in midfield, if they're passing to each other, if they say Bruno Fernandes, do they all disappear like Beetlejuice? Is that how that kit works? If they say a player's name 3 times, they all just disappear.
No, they win a penalty. That's what happens.
Oh, yeah, sorry. That's what it is. Yeah, maybe that's the way. It's the new distracting from the dives so they get the penalties.
I'm just so happy they brought in Van der Beek, because they had a perfectly balanced midfield and now they've ruined it because they're going to have to try and shoehorn him into it. On
the subject of kits as well, just quickly, can we just highlight how Nike have absolutely rinsed Spurs this year with the hideous kits they've given them? The home kit looks like a 90s throwback, just fudged together kit. Their third kit, this horrific sort of yellow monstrosity that looks more like Arsenal's successful sort of 80s kits, if anything, which is quite hilarious. Their kits are horrendous. I know it's not important, but no. I feel like we should celebrate that in a season where there's a lot of very nice kits out there. Barcelona's black one is particularly fetching on the eye. There's a lot of hideous ones out there as well.
Could I also say, just for context for anyone who needs to calibrate Chris's tastes, he says the current Malaga kits are nice, very nice. And the home, the away kit looks like
sexy.
What would I say? No, it just screams the 80s, end of the 80s.
Oh, it's lovely though. Atletico Madrid.
If you slapped a dodgy TV, like old CRT. That's what it would come up like, a little colour TV. That's what it would look like. That's their strips. Awful. So, yeah, I do have one more question in here because we have covered Noir Confidential. We have covered your one on creativity in the squads.
Cheers,
bye, Geoff.
He says, Wi-Fi is fucked. I'm gone. Thanks for listening, ladies and gents, and thanks for having me on, Dan. Oh, and... yes, if he'd have put the rest of it in, Chow. Yeah, cheers, Geoff. Jeff will be back in Blighty quite soon, or he will never see him again because we
don't sign anyone.
All of our love is fucked.
Yeah, Omar Kali, we covered your question on homegrown when I went all the way through our homegrown players. Just depends on who we're selling and who we're not. And yeah, we covered Lacazette and Nketiah. Have we all had our thoughts on Draxler? Should we have our thoughts on Draxler? Because I know Carl would like us to mention the player that he very much holds a candle to.
I mean, it's not happening. That's if PSG's new third kit is very nice. It's not happening. So you can have that thought if you want. It's just not happening. He is on what is known now as the Ozil deal. He's at PSG. He's quite happy to sit on very high money. not play too much, and has no intention of moving. So there's that. And he's been offered to Leeds. I mean, really? he's not going to be an Arsenal player if he's being offered to Leeds. I would be shocked. And through all the people I speak to, there is no truth in that at all. So I wouldn't believe it personally, but things can change.
Sorry, Carl. If I'd answered that, I'd have let you down a little more gently. But fuck it, Kris has just thrown you in front of a tube there on that one.
Ruining the dreams.
I did say I had one more question, but I can't think. Well, oh yes, it was from Phil Macker. Does anyone have any real hopes of us all being back at the games this season? So yeah.
Yesterday's announcement, I had no hope of anyone ever being back at the stadium because it's utter madness. If they offered free tickets, if they offered us a box, I still wouldn't go. And I only went to one game last season. It's madness. It just shows. So we don't want to get too political, but our government are fucking morons. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. Hey everybody, it's all Sean's generation. Go out and do what you want all summer. Oh fuck, it's September. It's coming back. Spanish flu, people. Google it. No, Yahoo it. Fuck Google.
Well, yeah, I would say Scottish football's doing a trial, but it is officially no. Yeah, it's true, but it's no. You're not allowed to shout, basically.
Imagine.
Yeah, you got to wear a mask. Got to wear a mask at all times. No shouting.
They basically said at the start of the summer, when all of this kind of ended, they being the government said, eat out to help out, go and mix with people, get back to normality, go and enjoy your office jobs. But by the way, all of those things we've just said, don't do those things. It's like, well, I mean, you've told us to go and do it, and I think young people are getting a bit of a harsh deal in all this. I feel like they're getting the raw end of the stick. I don't think it's just young people. It's just people in general. If you let people, please, let's not go down this route. God bless you, Steve. I love you. You'll be looking down and laughing at this if I mentioned the B word. But if you give people the vote and you give them the opportunity to do something stupid, they will probably do something stupid, because there's a lot of very uneducated people in this world who don't do their research before making critical decisions in life. And I think Geoff made a really good point in that we all want to get back to it, we all miss it, etc. But there is a greater situation here going around that people's lives are at stake. And we don't know what the colder weather might bring. We don't know what the change of season is going to bring. I mentioned the situation in France. It's becoming. We're 3 weeks. I think we're 3 weeks behind where France were when they came out of lockdown, and France is an absolute mess right now. So if that's anything to go by, in 3 weeks we could be in an even bigger mess. We should just be thankful we've got football back, really.
Yeah, I've heard France are now doing a league table based on players who have tested positive for COVID.
How many clubs have got players?
Which I think puts Metz at the top of the league at the moment because they have 0 players and PSG rock bottom.
Yeah, PSG are going into their game against Lens tomorrow night, potentially without, I believe it's 12 first-team players, including Kylian Mbappe, Di Maria, Navas, Neymar, et al. There's a lot of there's talk that they're going to be playing Le Classique, which is the biggest fixture in France, against Marseille on Sunday, with I believe it was last count 7 youth team players, and that is a game they do not want to lose. So, I don't know. Nobody can predict the future, but I don't know. I feel like we've got a bit more to go before all this becomes normal again, and I think talk of fans in stadiums in October is, I don't know. I think it's premature personally, but that's just my own views. Like I say, we don't want to get into politics too much, but just feels a bit too soon for me.
Got a question from Twitch there, Josh, my boy.
Oh.
Okay. Is this for me to answer?
Yeah, you haven't had one yet.
Keep it to yourself if you want. Just read it and nod.
Well, I've got to read it anyway, if no one else will. Joke question: if Messi signs for City, which no-nonsense defender breaks his leg first?
Because he will get the shit kicked out of him. He won't have the referees going, "Oh, you breathed on Messi, right? Everyone off. Penalties until Barcelona win." I'd love to see him come.
It's the question of who's not that type of player, because they all inevitably are. Who's not that type of player to break his legs? Oh God, who's not great in attack? Oh, it's gonna be Mustafi in it.
Mustafi's gonna slide into him.
No,
I
don't think anyone's getting close to him. To be fair, if he did sign for City, if he came to the Premier League,
not people surrounding him.
No one will get close to him. Maybe Burnley.
Who would have thought that after all of the talk, Messi is staying? Who on earth saw that coming?
Like he does it every 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. He's one of those players I don't want to see in another kit. You know, it doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem right to me.
No, if he stays at a club for for his whole career, he's just another Jamie Carragher, isn't he?
Oh, nobody wants to be that.
Apart from Messi won the league.
Champions. He's won a lot of stuff.
In a car.
There we go. Jackosaurus from Twitch has put, I honestly want to see Barcelona burn. We will never forgive them for 2006. I was fucking there. That was the last time I went abroad. That's put me off of going abroad ever again. But
what was that? What was it? What's his name? Not Bellotti.
The Italian.
Yeah.
The guy who scored the winner, the left back.
Set up by Larson.
Was it Bellotti? No. It wasn't.
Julian.
I think it was
Giuliano.
Grazioli.
No, I'm going to look it up. It's going to piss me off otherwise.
No, here we are. People listening at home. It is a race between Josh and Chris to find out.
Belletti. There you go.
I'm utilising no username required. Who has come in and saved it, Dave?
Did you see Inter Milan signed Josh? Did you see that?
I know Kolarov has signed for Inter Milan because I was going through the video of him singing Christmas carols for Man City TV. And if anybody wants to see something of, it's just a different level of serial killer.
When ABW gets bored, this is what we do, people. We watch videos of ex-players watching.
How about after the last show, Josh? What did we do after the last show for the next 2 hours?
Oh, I can't remember. It was chat shit.
Football.
Oh, we did do a fantasy football. I've changed my team again.
That would have made a great show. I was just talking 2 hours about fantasy football.
With Carl as well for it was about 2.5 hours, wasn't it? And we all picked up.
I think it was longer. Yeah, I've changed my team again now because I listened to at least 3 different podcasts about fantasy football. So I suddenly decided, these would be good. And then people got signed, so...
I got rid of Grealish and brought in Willian, I must admit. But,
why are you bringing in Willian? All right, I should say for the listeners, Chris has the weirdest choices of fantasy football.
Why? What is wrong with my why? Justify that, please. Justify that immediately.
If not,
you talk about
Willian.
You talk about weird choices, and there you are rocking Walker Peters and Mohamed Flat Track Bully Salah, Calvert-Lewin. Timo Werner is going to need at least 6 months to settle. Justin, who I've never been convinced by. McCarthy
he started for Leicester. McCarthy goal because he's going to save lots, and then there's the rest of them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, if you want to go with that, if you want to compare
with it,
and that's
I'm
fine.
going with it.
Do you want me to put mine up? Is that what you're asking me to do here?
I think it might be. Whip yours out, Chris.
Okay, I'll whip mine out. Yeah, Danny.
And that is a BlackBerry, people. It is. He's stuck in 2004.
Buttons, yeah, baby. So can you see? Can you focus? You fuck. Can you see?
I think that's Harry Kane as striker.
Harry Kane and Son up front.
Yeah.
There you go. Right. So you got Alexander Arnold. You got Digne. You got James. Chelsea. You've got Masuaku, Willian, Bruno penalties. Perez at Leicester. Aubameyang. Mitrovic. This isn't a selected team, by the way, if you're panicking that I've got Mitrovic as captain. I haven't. Yeah. Charlison. In goal, I've got Ramsdale. Mr. Ramsdale. And then
I'm not sure about that.
I'll just tell you. The substitutes, I've got Meslier, Ben White.
I was asking, why is Aubameyang a midfielder? Because fantasy football have gone mental.
But it's ideal. For it.
They've done it to mix it up for who you have as big name players, basically. Because everybody's team last season was basically Salah, Mane. Oh no, it was like Salah, De Bruyne, and then striker you had Aubameyang.
Yeah.
And you just had those 3 players and you rock the league. But because Aubameyang is played on left wing for most of last season. They've put him as, like Salah and Mane are both. We know they're both basically strikers, but yeah, he's now a midfielder.
But if you lot all think you're better, then crack on, join the ABW Fantasy League, join the Pirate Premier, and I'll put it out there now. I will go on record saying the winner of the Pirate Premier, ABW will do something different, but just my
brush your hair.
No, I will personalise an ABW T-shirt for the winner of the Pirate Premier. So there you go. There is your incentive.
You could do that for the podcast one as well. It would say 2020-21 champion across the back.
I could do that. Yeah.
But you're getting some heat about your BlackBerry, Kris.
Orpheus is mocking. Yeah, I mean, you lot can. That's fine. Okay, I'm retro. All right, look at my hair. Okay, I'm retro. It's cool. There's nothing. I like buttons. All right, I like pressing buttons. Just look at my Twitter timeline. I love pressing buttons. It's great fun. So, nothing wrong with a BlackBerry. Nothing wrong with a BlackBerry. What do you mean, what hair, Nick? What do you mean? What do you mean?
You can get him later. Right, are we going to wrap this up? It's been 2 hours. I've got a little.
I think so. I was waiting for someone to take over again. Were we doing shout outs or not? Because I've kind of forgotten again. I think of one.
Yeah, we'll do gentlemen's nods, but I'll just give you some time to think because I'll just wrap up the show while we do that. Thank you all for listening. Just as a quick reminder, because some of you may not have been with us since the end of last season, might have don't know. Lots of stuff's changed, basically. A couple of people have moved on. Jace isn't part of the team anymore. I still love Jace. We all still love Jace. There's no bad blood, but Jace has moved on.
Emery broke him.
Yeah.
Then me and him fell out, so I have to take some of the blame.
Yeah, so basically blame Danny is what we're saying. But no, Jace is... We still talk to Jace. There's no beef there, so it's all good. But he's moved on. Simon will probably be on the show a lot less this year because he's got a proper job for proper people doing adult things. So again,
he's finally made it to the top.
Well, he's basically the new Ornstein, essentially, is what we're saying. So good luck to him. OG and Dom are also in the background. OG is absolutely hammered at work, so he's stepped away, as has Shreds. Dom, I'm still hopeful we might be able to drag Dom on for a special here and there. Basically, when all of our players get banjaxed with injuries, which we all know will happen in a few weeks, hopefully we can make our time work with Dom, because obviously he's back in Oz now, so we need to try and make the times work. I think that's kind of the ins and outs, but yeah, most of the
Dom did say he's bought himself a new camera or headset. He said before the end of last season, so hopefully, yes. I mean, we could, if he wanted to, we'd even do a late night one. There you go. That's for OG.
Yes,
because we love OG, and he was in the chat early. He sent me a WhatsApp saying he's had to go back to work. He just popped in to say hello.
God bless him. Yeah, me and OG, we're hotly anticipating the FIFA 21 release, so we can build our teams and get smashed every week. So we talk on a regular basis. But yes, Josh is still here. Obviously, Danny's still here. I'm still here.
Shredder might come and do a show if he's free.
Perfect.
He's a busy man.
Who's the other regulars? John's still in the background, but he's hammered with work as well, but he's still with us.
Vifey was last seen drinking wine across Europe, so we don't know what the fuck he's doing.
Vifey's like literally the new, I don't know, he's Lothario, what a legend. But yeah, we've got plenty of people. Obviously, Nick is in the chat tonight, is with us, Femi.
Richard is going to do the show on Saturday. Hopefully Josh will go. I'm actually free Saturday and he'll do the live show. Josh isn't going to do the live show. I'm having to go to bed now to get up in time for the show. Hopefully someone else will do it. Otherwise it's going to be me, because the ABW live from now on, half an hour after the game, and the show will be roughly half an hour long, and with two people. So it gives plenty of time after the game, because it's always a bit of a rush. So only half hour.
It'll be a lot more condensed, a lot shorter shows. The podcast moving forwards will probably be back to the hour and a half curfew. Sometimes we might only do an hour, depending on how many games we've got to cover.
If you're on.
And again, the shows will be very much like tonight. There'll be a menu, be talking points. We'll do usual listeners' questions, but most of it will be a little bit more streamlined. We're just trying to condense it a bit because we don't want to bore you guys. Some people love our longer shows. But some people are like, shut up, like just get on with it. Like you know our format by now, dear listener. If you're still here now, God bless you. But a few things are changing, a few things are moving sideways, backwards, forwards. We're an ever evolving organism of love and pus. So yes, that's all good. I might not even be able to see the Fulham game. How tragic is that?
I've told you an easy. Why can't you see it? Where are you going to be?
I might not be home. I've got
Fucking
some
lightweight.
So
What French team playing? Our French 5th division team are playing.
No, I've got some actual real life adult commitments on Saturday. I'm hoping I might be home in time, but I don't know. So we'll see.
I'm hoping I'll be up in time.
Yeah, well, I've got a real commitment. You're just a lazy shit.
Don One is asking about the Pirates. It's semi-sad news about the Pirates, Chris, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, basically, in short, we're taking a year out.
It won't be in short.
No, we're taking a year out.
Still relative, Danny.
A couple of my players last season decided that they could do a better job than me and decided to go to another club. Fuck them, basically.
Mutiny.
Alan, you're dead to us.
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, he left a while back. No, a couple of players thought they knew better, and whatever. If they think they can do a better job than me, that's fine. They can crack on. But unfortunately, there was a little bit of a clique developed, and a lot of other players left with them. So I was left with a very small squad. And then COVID hit. It's kind of the two intertwined. And I looked at it, and to be perfectly honest, I don't really want a lawsuit on my hands. I haven't got enough money to pay rent as it is. So no, I figured the best thing to do is step away from grassroots football for a year. All the sponsors we had before are still on board. If we come back, but the plan is to come back in 21-22 when hopefully things are back to a bit of normality. But no, in all seriousness, I'm not prepared to manage a team when certain things are going on. The FA have been far from transparent in their views. They haven't helped at all. There's nowhere near enough health and safety protocols in place, in my opinion, for professional adult sports, or semi-professional adult sports, I should say. So I'm not comfortable. So yeah, irrespective of all players leaving, or not all, but the majority of leaving, I just don't really feel comfortable doing it this year. So that's why I've got a house full of steps and equipment at the moment, because I've got all the stuff back. But hopefully we'll be back. So yeah, thank you to everybody who supported us for the 6 years I've been doing it. Hopefully we will have a 7th year, but who knows where we'll be in a year, So
Noza says, do you still love Giroud? I think we all do still love him a little bit.
I don't give a monkeys that he talk shit about us. Who cares? If you care, I love him. I still love bloody Cesc Fabregas, and apparently he went on strike. Bullshit. Love him.
Yes, we still want to say thank you to the people that are joining us on Twitch. If you do have Amazon Prime and you do use Twitch, Amazon Prime will let you subscribe to our Twitch, and we get $2.50 out of that. It costs you absolutely nothing. If you've had Amazon for the last 5 years and you've paid for Amazon Prime, you've had 60 months of £2.50 a month or $2.50 a month you could have given away. And so all you have to do, if everybody wants to do it, tweet us and I'll show you how. But we've got another TV viewer, 8N Commander Root, Feet, Gik Gok, Hollywood AFC, which is Jimmy, DCU, Jackosaurus, Just In Case, Lurks, and MJ, which is Michael in Sweden, and Thicker. They've all been in our Twitch there. So everything will be on Twitch and it will be on YouTube. If it's live, it will be on both all season. You might see more podcasts this season being done not live, because we kind of liked the way it used to be, where it's a little bit less pressure, no little less interaction with you lot, because you're all scumbags. So there you go, Michael's done a little thing there. So and also I want to say thank you to the people that have joined our membership. Remember, you join it, you get fuck all. So thanks to Nicky Wilson, J Rob, Billy Butler, Yemi, Fash, and our mate Corey, who's part of ABW. So is Nick, for everyone for doing the join thing. Remember, you don't do it because you get fuck all for it. There you go, Chris. I'm done.
Brilliantly done. Right. So has anybody got any thank you, shout outs, love, DMs, dick pics, whatever? Josh?
Oh, we were going to do this 20 minutes ago, weren't we?
Yeah. This is the very last thing.
It was some good filling for me to find someone to give a shout out to. And to be honest, it took me all of 3 minutes to be fair, I was going to go to our Facebook page and look at the last person that followed us, who I think was Dave Atkinson. I won't say Atkinson. It might not be Atkinson.
We might have to delete our Facebook, because we can stream to 3 services now that we've paid $240 for this. And many years ago, we lost the password to ABW's Facebook. And Facebook, if anybody knows anyone on Facebook who can give us a hand, we cannot recover the password. it keeps telling us our email address and my phone number aren't right, even though I'm looking at the page where it's got it on it for. So if we give it another couple of weeks, because then we can stream to Facebook. So we might shut our Facebook down. Cheers for reminding me of that, Josh.
That's all right. So sorry, Dave, you were the last one in, first one out. See you later.
You've got Dave's fault with shutting it down.
Sorry, Dave. Job on, mate.
What
The straw that broke the camel's back because we'd forgotten about it.
What is a Facebook? What's that?
Oh, don't worry.
It's
Some people, it's old ladies and gammon use it. But my real one was going to be for someone who does like stirring up the gammon but doesn't eat it. It's Hector Bellerin for signing for Forest Green Rovers.
Yes.
Is that why some people? Who was it? Someone I know said they were going to. It was bloke lives from Brighton, lives in Norway. What's his name? Been on the show. Used to interview Amy Glowance for us when at the Brazil World Cup. How can I not remember his fucking name?
He knows from Brighton anyway.
Yeah, him. He said I might get a Hector Bellerin for a screen shirt. Tell people about that because I've got no idea.
Yes. So Forest Green Rovers, a team from Nailsworth in I've got to get it right now. Gloucester. It's either Gloucester, Wiltshire, or Somerset, and it's in that horrible little zone where it could be any of them. But it's just outside Bath for people who know roughly where that is in the west part of the world. Not far west as Kris, though, in Plymouth. But yeah, they are most well known for being the vegan team in English football. So the entire first team, coaching staff, basically the whole club and all of the food outlets only serve vegan food. Don't worry, that still includes chips. They just cook them with vegetable oil.
I'm in.
Chips and ketchup, that's fine, that's vegan. No one tells you that when you think about coming vegan. Chips and ketchup, fine. You're just thinking about like plants and shit. No, it's fine. You can eat chips. So yeah, and he's joined them as he's now their second largest shareholder. Their biggest shareholder is Dale Vince. Largely, I would say, politely outspoken green activist who owns a company called Ecotricity, who do green electricity. Makes sense when you think about it. And he's just gone to join them to kind of help them bring their profile up, help them in a footballing sense. And yeah, it seems like a really great partnership that he's drawn with them. I have a bit of a guilty pleasure for Forest Green Rovers. I've seen them play a couple of times live, I'd say in the last couple of years. I haven't seen more Forest Green Rovers.
Got to admire what they do and the way they're a bit of a club with the way they've done it. But if there are any clubs out there that need a representative who is a carnivore and doesn't eat any fucking vegetables apart from potatoes, you give me a call. But I think the future is the Forest Green Rovers is the future because
and it fits in
too.
Yeah, it fits in perfectly with what Bellerin is talking about as well. And you're not kind of. It kind of says, if you listen to, there's a big interview on Forest Green Rovers with Bellerin, and when he speaks to Dale, the owner of Forest Green, and he talks through everything and how the club have kind of got to the point where they're now carbon neutral as well.
That's really important as well.
So that's huge with the terms of the amount of travel. You might go, oh, well, they don't have to fly internationally and stuff. Well, in that kind of league, if you're down there, you've still got to try and drive up to the likes of Carlisle, who will be in your league. And that's going to be, a couple of coaches going up and down there. So they've still got those kind of problems. And yeah, it's great that he's kind of got involved with this. And it's a big environmental issue, I think, in general, is where you should look at it from if you don't agree with veganism or whatever.
And you moan at Kris for going on. Shit the bed.
No, it's good.
I just had an opportunity to talk, Danny. I thought I'd take the most of it.
Well, that's two of you have had a go all night. Me and Geoff didn't get a word in.
Who's your nod to then, Daniel?
I didn't think about this. It's why can't I remember his fucking name? He's been on the show. He lives in Norway. Worked at a kindergarten. Oh, for God's sake, it's really annoying me.
I think I know the person you're on about, but I can't remember his name.
He grew up in Brighton.
Yeah,
he's travelling South America for 3 years.
You don't mean Tim Vickery?
No, it's not him. No, it's not. He's not a mate of mine. No, I'll just say thank you to everybody who watches, all the lovely new people on Twitch. That's it, Kris Highlandinho on the Twitters. Lovely bloke.
Great.
Really interesting. You should have a look at his Twitch because his Instagram. He's recently walked the length or the breadth of Norway to go to his brother's house or something like that, and it took him about 5 or 6 days of his dog. So yeah, really nice bloke. Love to get him back on again, but I don't know if he wants to. Yeah, and all the people are joining us on Twitch because Twitch is the future along with YouTube. And hello to everybody on Twitch and YouTube.
Well done.
About Facebook.
Cool. My quick two are Darren Berry, what a legend, at DB_AFC Highbury. Any day now, one of his tweets is going to be right. If you've been following him, you know exactly what I'm talking about. He's been incessantly trolling people all summer. One gentleman in particular, who I've also trolled tonight. It's been fantastic. Keep up the good work, Darren. You're doing God's work there, sir. Well done.
Talking of trolls, how about Eddie Longbridge?
Oh, Eddie Longbridge is also another legend. Yeah,
he got brilliant
by the club, didn't he, the other day?
He
tweeted something at them and said, "Oh, can we have pictures of something or other?" And they went, "Yeah, sure." And yeah, he got a reply from Arsenal. I'll have to try and look that up, but yeah, they actually replied to him. So yeah, Eddie is also doing some fantastic work.
And there's Eddie Longbridge fan account as well, which I think may well be Eddie Longbridge as well. But brilliant. Yeah. Just absolute brilliant. So many decent quality Arsenal comedy accounts and stuff on there. It's brilliant.
Yeah, he's
Russ Morgan's turned up. Dirty stop out. He's turned up with about a minute to go. Well done, Russ.
Well done, sir.
Fired.
Well done, sir. So that's one, but that's turned into two. And it wouldn't be the first show of the season without me giving a nod to Canadian Kelly. So hello, Kelly. And she said she was going to watch tonight. She probably hasn't. She's a fraud. No, love you, Kels. You're well. She's been spending some time with her folks, and she's on a bit of a mission at the moment with a few changes in life and whatnot. So yeah, she's doing good, and a little shout out to her. So there you go.
And people go to eBay and type in Danny's Loft LOFT and go and buy all the shit that all that crap behind me. It's all fucking going. There's about 200 Xbox games on there. But don't stalk me. Actually, if you want my address, I'll tell you my address. I've shown enough pictures of it.
Right. Well, that's as good as any place to end the show as ever.
Just in case it's been rumbled on Twitch, his missus has just come in and asked him if he's having a meeting with his work colleagues. Yes, he is. Justin, you're fired.
I can't think of any better place to leave it. But yeah, we're all Arsenal. We've had a lovely time. Hopefully you have as well. Do keep us tuned. If you're not subscribed or do all that stuff on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. As the great man himself would have said, give us a tappy. But yes, keep doing the thumbs up and subscribers. Hit the bell notification for when we go live, especially for the games. As Danny's just put the chat there, 30 minutes after each game will be live as usual. Jump on board, have a little giggle with us. And yeah, we don't get paid for any of those clicks, but it does help us go up the list of things where people can find us, because there are 456, probably by the end of this show, 457 Arsenal podcasts out there.
There's a new one starting. Go and have a look on Twitter for Not Another Arsenal Podcast. Mike Hertz, who we all know, he started it. And there's I'm going to put a list on our website. I'm going to do a list of every Arsenal podcast ever, because that's the kind of guys we are.
And we'll probably be doing a few collabs throughout the season. We'll probably get a few, podders from other. Sophie's very good on the hybrid squad. We get Sophie back at some point. I'd like to try and do something with the Arsenal America boys at some point. So yeah, we'll probably do a bit of cross promotion, and something we are going to experiment with this year is getting away fans on with preview pods as well. We're not sure how it's going to work yet. Don't worry, we won't get any shitty people, just people that have got some balanced views to sort of preview games from their club's perspective as well. So hopefully that'll work quite well. Those of you who remember the one when we had the Stoke guy on, yeah, that won't be happening again. Don't worry. He was a nonce. Anyway, that's where we'll leave the show. Thank you very much for joining us. I do hope you've enjoyed it. Keep it Arsenal. Fulham, 12:30 on Saturday. Let's go, boys. The season is back. We're all Arsenal.
We're going to win the league. We're going to win the league.
And now you're gonna believe us. That's how
I
it
can't
goes.
remember the rest of it.
Am I pressing end, Chris?
It's been so long since we've sung that song.
Shut this shit off.
Ah!